This meeting is being recorded.
All right. Good morning, everyone. It's 10 a.m. already right here in Nigeria, Africa. I guess it's 10 a.m. around your area. If it's not, I will just say good morning. Please confirm you can hear me.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Good morning. It's a beautiful morning, and we are so excited about this event. Thank you so much for everyone who have joined in this morning. I can see that we have close to 50 people already, no more on the call. I know that we'll be getting more people join us. So without further ado, my name is Blessing Eje, and I'll be a support moderator on this program this morning. Before I proceed, I know that you are excited about this event. So please, can we use the comment section to introduce ourselves? We have so many guests of honor here this morning, and it's going to be our privilege to have them in this event this morning. But I would like us to use the chat session to introduce ourselves. So just tell us your name, where you are joining us from, and what you want to get at the end of this event. What are your expectations for this event? So I'll be reading out the comment section to find out people joining us from around the world. All right, so who will go first? I'm waiting to see the comment section. I can see Anatu Ben Lawan from Ghana. Thank you, Anatu, for joining. Who else is? I can see Fatima from Ghana. Thank you so much, Fatima, for joining. I can see Oyime from Abuja. Thank you so much. Prince Will from Abuja. Thank you for joining. Who else? Havana from Abuja. Hi, Havana. I can see Chibuzulong from Abuja. Sorry, don't mind me. Robert from Abuja. Okay, let's keep it rolling. Let's keep it rolling. How Meeting from Abuja. Yes, Mr. How Meeting. Thank you so much for hosting us. Precious Daniel from Abuja. Yes, I can see.
This meeting is being recorded.
All right. While we keep introducing ourselves, I hope to get good network. Okay. Adeze good luck from Abuja. Emma from Abuja. Paul from Abuja. Okay, we have a lot of people from Abuja. I've not seen Lagos. So I would, while the comments keep coming in, I would call on our host this morning, someone who has put this vision together, and he's the reason why we are on this platform today. He has started off on a vision that is championing the re-engineering of workspace in Africa. And it's a great privilege to have him host this event and then volunteer with him this morning. Please, without further ado, I would like us to make welcome Mr. How Meeting Gabriel to give us his opening remark and just give us a little vision and why we are here this morning before we proceed with honoring our guests and then proceed into the main agenda for the day. So Mr. Gabriel Hamilton, it's over to you, sir. Good morning.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Blessing, for doing a wonderful work. Before I begin my opening address, I would like to especially thank Anatu for working together with me. We are co-hosting this event. I want to appreciate her for all the efforts she's doing. Anatu is someone that has the capability. She has the skill sets in creating brand new job opportunities for young people for women across Africa. And also, I want to thank one of our guest speakers for this event, Fatima. She joined quite early. I was really excited when I saw her joining quite early. So thank you, Fatima, for the courtesy of joining this meeting early and for giving us the opportunity to connect with you. I'm super grateful, and I look forward to establishing a more beneficial relationship with you even after this conference. I also would like to appreciate, will I say, one of my mommies, my auntie, the former First Lady of Imo State, Mrs. Rochas Okorocha. Even though it's not convenient for her, she's in the US joining us for this call. I'm so excited to have her join us for this meeting, even though she's not feeling so well, but because of the burden she has for young people, for creating opportunities for young people across Africa, she decided to join this call. So thank you so very much. I also would like to thank members of my team and the volunteers for the work done. I really appreciate the effort you guys are putting to create opportunities for young people across Africa. So this is me saying thank you, everyone. So I will just give a brief welcome statement. Thereafter, I will introduce the former First Lady of Imo State. Okay. I will introduce the former First Lady of Imo State. Then she will also give a remark, and I will hand over to Blessing. Please just give me a few minutes. Let me, a few minutes, please. I need to send, sorry, we have one of our speakers joining us from the Netherlands, and she's requesting for the link. I want to send it to her, so just give me a brief minute. Let me send the link to her. Her name is Letitia. She's someone that has great passion for Africa, and the area of competence is using artificial intelligence to create job opportunities for women, young persons in Africa. Just a few minutes, I'm almost done. Thank you. Okay, thank you. All right. All right, thank you, Blessing. Thank you, everyone. So I would like to welcome everyone to the African Job Creation and Trade Conference. It is a great pleasure and immense enthusiasm that I stand before you today to open this event. This gathering represents a significant opportunity for all of us to come together and address one of the most pressing challenges facing the continent of Africa, which is job creation. Abundant resources, diverse talents, and entrepreneurship spirit has the potential to become the powerhouse of economic growth and development. However, unemployment and underemployment continue to pose a major obstacle to our progress. This conference is a testament to our commitment as individuals and organizations to find innovative solutions and forge a new partnership to tackle this issue head on. Over the next few hours, we are going to have the privilege to listen to experts, thought leaders, and practitioners who are at the forefront of creating jobs in Africa. Their knowledge and experience and will provide us with the valuable insight, inspiration to drive the change within the respective domain. But this conference is not just about learning and sharing knowledge. It is about taking action. It's about identifying practical strategies and actionable steps that can be implemented to create sustainable job opportunities for our people. It is about fostering an environment that nurtures entrepreneurship, innovation, and inclusive growth. We must recognize that job creation is not a one-size-fits-all endeavor. Our continent is rich in diversity, and our solutions must be tailored to the unique challenges and opportunities that each country and region presents. It is through collaboration, dialogue, and sharing of ideas that we can identify the most effective approaches and adapt them to our specific context. As we embark on this journey together, let us keep in mind that transformative power of job creation. Employment not only provides individuals with the resources of income and livelihood, it is a cornerstone of dignity and empowerment and social cohesion. It unlocks potential, fosters social mobility, and contributes to sustainable development. To achieve our goals, we must embrace multi-stakeholders approach, government, private sector entities, civil society organizations, educational institutions, and development partners all have a crucial role to play in creating job opportunities for young people, for women in Africa. By working together, we can create an enabling environment and enabling ecosystem that encourages investment, nurture innovation, and equip our workforce with the skill needed for the future of jobs in Africa. In closing, I want to express my gratitude to all the participants, speakers, organizers, and sponsors who have made this event possible. Your presence today demonstrates your commitment to the cause and your belief in the transformative power of job creation. Together, let us embark on this shared mission to unleash Africa's potential, create opportunities for our people, and build a prosperous and inclusive future for all. Thank you, everyone, and I wish every one of us a productive engagement and networking opportunities. I would like to now introduce Her Excellency, the former First Lady of Imo State, Mrs. Rochas Okorocha. She has been at the forefront of creating opportunities for women in particular in Nigeria. She has created a lot of opportunities for women and young people, and it is my singular privilege to introduce her to give a brief welcome statement to participants in this event.
Her Excellency Neoma Nkechi Rochas Okorocha, PhD, was born in 1967 into the family of late Chief Bernard Nnadi Nwosu and late Mrs. Teresa Nuola Nwasu of Umuso, Iluama in Isikwato local government area of Abia State. She is happily married to distinguished Senator and former Governor of Imo State, Senator Owele Anayo Rochas Okorocha, from Ideato South local government area of Imo State. Their union is blessed with 6 children, 6 grandchildren, and over 20,000 adopted children from the 6 geopolitical zones of Nigeria and also some from other African countries. Norma, as she is mostly called, had her primary and secondary school education in Jos at St. Teresa's Girls Primary School and at St. John's College, Jos. She has a diploma in catering and hotel management from Malvern School of Catering and Hotel Management, a BSc degree in accounting, and an MSc in international law and diplomacy from the University of Jos. She also holds a Doctor of Philosophy in International Relations and Diplomacy from the prestigious Imo State University. Neoma will touch more lives positively through her non-governmental organization, Women of Divine Destiny Initiative, WODI. She founded WODI with the singular goal of reaching out and touching the lives of women, orphans, young people, and the internally displaced persons in Nigeria. Through this great entity, Neoma has built and handed over 205 fully furnished 2-bedroom bungalows to indigent widows and orphans across the states in Nigeria. Over the years, WODI has trained and empowered thousands of women and youths in relevant vocational business and career skills such as information technology, cosmetology, catering, employability skills, fashion designing, and making. Also, Wodi provides leadership and counseling services to young girls and the youth, holds interfaith prayer meetings for the betterment of the woman, her family, and the society at large, and a Wodi talk show, which is one of her media platforms in informing, reshaping, and igniting passion in the women and youths. Neoma is the Vice President of Rogers Foundation Incorporated. She is a member of the Nigeria Political Science Association, as well as a member of the Association of Nigerian Authors. As a seasoned author, she has written many books, among which are Woman, the Home Builder, Woman, an Intercessor, My Child, Dignity of Womanhood, The Power of Image, Hunger to Succeed, Smooth Sail Through Secondary School. Ugo Neoma Nkechi Rogers Okorocha, PhD, is one woman whose love for the downtrodden in our society is second to none. No wonder, to many, she is charity personified. A compassionate woman of distinction, Neoma has great passion for the welfare of the woman, the family, and the nation at large. As she has demonstrated all of these through her non-profit, Wodi. Ladies and gentlemen, Her Excellency, Neoma Nkechi Rogers Okorocha, PhD.
Please, can we give her a welcome emoji?
Thank you. Thank you very much. And then good morning, very distinguished ladies and gentlemen, and of course, African youth. I'm indeed excited to be part of this very historic event. It is my honor and privilege to welcome each and every one of us to this very important gathering. We have assembled here with a shared vision and purpose to unlock the immense potential of Africa's job market and foster a thriving trade ecosystem that will drive economic growth across the continent. Africa stands at a pivotal moment in its history, with a youthful population, abundant natural resources, and a growing consumer market. Our continent possesses all the ingredients necessary for a prosperous future. However, we are also acutely aware of the challenges that lie ahead. Unemployment rates continue to be a pressing issue, particularly among our youth, who represent the very essence of Africa's potential. Today, we have gathered the brightest minds, innovative entrepreneurs, policymakers, and industry leaders from across Africa and beyond to discuss and devise concrete strategies that will create sustainable jobs and foster inclusive economic growth. We believe that job creation is the cornerstone of social stability, poverty alleviation, and overall progress. By investing in our people, empowering our youth, and nurturing a conducive business environment, we can unleash the full potential of Africa's workforce. Equally important is the promotion of trade within and beyond Africa's borders. Trade has proven time and again to be a powerful driver of economic development. By enhancing regional integration, reducing trade barriers, and fostering partnership, we can stimulate entrepreneurship, attract investments, and create new market opportunities for our businesses. Africa is not just a continent rich in resources, it is also a continent rich in talent, innovation, and creativity. By connecting our markets and leveraging our collective strengths, we can position Africa as a global trade hub and forge mutually beneficial economic relationships with the rest of the world. During the course of this conference, we will engage in vibrant discussions, exchange ideas, and share best practices that will shape the future of job creation and trade in Africa. We will explore innovative approaches, harness the potential of emerging technologies, and identify sectors with high growth potential. I want to use this opportunity to sincerely appreciate the organizers of this beautiful program, particularly the founder, Mr. Hamilton, and I understand Hanatu, for a job well done. For me, there's still hope for this country, because for this continent, because we know we have vibrant youth that will come up with avenues that will make African continent what we all want it to be. Once more, it is my honor to welcome you all to this very innovative conference. God bless you all. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Your Excellency. I'm grateful for you joining us in this first day of the event. Thank you so much. I'm so grateful. And before I hand over to Blessing, I would also like to introduce Janet. She is one of the details for this session. So, Janet. Hello, Janet.
Hello. Hello, everybody.
Hi, Janet.
Hi. Greetings from Ghana. I was supposed to be in Nigeria, but for things beyond my control, I couldn't make it. That's why I'm joining virtually. But God willing, next year, you're all going to see me in person. And it is a great honor to be part of this conference. We are all young people trying to ensure that our continent is actually great. And so let's enjoy this session, let's take notes, let's network. And trust me, when we come together and we do this together, Africa is actually going to be the #1 continent that we want it to be. And it's actually a great honor to meet each and everybody here virtually as well. I am very, very much honored to be here. Thank you very much. I'm just going to leave it here so that we continue the conference. Thank you very much, Hamilton. Thank you very much, Madam Anna, too, for this great initiative. I am very, very much honored to be a part of this. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Janet, for that. I will hand over to Blessing.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Hamilton, and thank you so much, Janet. Thank you very much, Mrs. Rochas Okorocha. We have followed your work closely, and we really appreciate what you are doing. Thank you so much for all the give back you've been doing to the society. And thank you so much also, Anatu Ben Lawa, for co-hosting this event. Without further ado, we know we've been talking about job opportunities. We've been talking about that the major opportunities we have is the fact that we have talented people. And while we were introducing ourselves, I could see that we just introduced our names and then where we were joining from. So we'll be moving shortly to the keynote address by Anatu Ben. But before we do that, because this is a platform that encourages collaboration, I think it's also a good thing to also drop what you do, because you never can tell who you'll be connecting with on this platform. So while I also hope that the media will project Anatu's profile, we can use the comment section to drop what you do. Tell us what you do professionally, because there could just be someone in the comment section who needs what you do, and you never can tell what partnership and collaboration that can grow from there. So while that goes on, we'll be proceeding to our keynote address by Anatu. And please, media, me project the profile of Anatu. Anatu is a social innovator. She's the founder of Social Innovation Africa. But we'll get to read more of her profile while the media helps us project that. She'll be giving us a keynote address, speaking on shaping the future of Africa economy development in uncertain times. So media is over to you.
Good morning, everyone. My name is
Morning.
Anat. Okay. Good morning, everyone. My name is Anatu, and I'm just trying to see if my screen can be, I can come on the video. So you can see my face. Faces. Hello, everyone. Good morning. It's a
Hello.
great pleasure. Thank you. Good to see you. Thank you, Hamilton, for this opportunity. Thank you so much, Your Excellency. It was such a pleasure listening to you. I think you have encapsulated everything that Hamilton and myself have been talking about for the last couple of years. So thank you very much. I think we are all in the same spirit. Thank you, Blessing. Thank you, Janet. Thank you, all the participants. My name is Anatu Ben Lawal, and I am speaking from Ghana, your sister country. Although we are based, we have an office in Nairobi, our head office in Nairobi. We're also based in Ghana, and Northern Ghana to be exact. So I'm here at the moment. And I'm here with my colleague Fatima, who's also joining, and she'll be speaking later. We are very excited about this opportunity. Ghana and Nigeria are sisters. I'm actually a Nigerian myself. I just happened to be born in Ghana. So for me, this is really about coming home, the beginning of a homecoming, so to speak. And so very excited about that. And then the opportunities that are being presented. Job creation has been a problem. And somebody who was, I would say that somebody would say, when has Africa not been in uncertain times? And I actually agree with that. The history of our continent has been one that is wrought with instability, lurching from one thing to the other, for many reasons. We know we had a lot of, there was some interruptions along the way historically, and all kinds of things. So we are quite underdeveloped, and this is not something I'm saying as a slight, but that's the reality, and we have to accept that. But that doesn't mean we have to stay there forever. So I'm going to be speaking, and I'm going to try to shed a little light in terms of where I think maybe we have not considered. So we keep going around in these cycles of like, oh, we know we are rich, we know we are very wealthy, we know we have raw materials, et cetera, but what exactly is wrong? What's the issue? Why can't you create the jobs? Why are we migrating at such a high speed and number? And all of that is causing a brain drain on the continent that the best of us who, sorry, I shouldn't say the best of us, as if those of us who are left behind are not the best. But it does have an impact that so many people in the past continue to be taken away from the continent and continue to go. And these are people who are supposed to be here working with us so that we can build our country. So for all we know, all the people that could have made things better are the ones who have gone abroad or are the ones that were taken away. And that needs to be curbed. And I don't think that anybody wants to go away just for going sick. There are so many people who love Africa. We all know it's the best continent, hands down. We also know that Nigeria and West Africa and Zimbabwe and Kenya, everywhere, there's so much. But something is desperately wrong. And we cannot go and allow the next generation to go through that. So we want to critically begin to look, Social Innovation Africa, the tribe, and other partners begin to look at exactly what are the challenges, what is the problem. It's not something that can be cured overnight, but at least let's set on the right, let's go onto the right path and begin to walk in a direction that would ensure that in 2 or 3 generations, this yoke has been broken, so to speak, for lack of a better word. So I will start off by saying thank you, and I'm going to now go to my presentation. I'm not somebody who talks too much, but I'll be fast. And then I know that it's a Friday morning and so many of you have come out and you have jobs to go to, etc. So Social Innovation Africa, job creation at certain times. What is Social Innovation Africa? Who am I? My name is Anatu Ben Lawal, and I started Social Innovation Africa as a response to the fact that Africa needs its own institutions. Most of the things that are being driven, job creation, labor, health, trade, etc., is being driven by Western ideologies. And I'm not blaming them. It is so because many of us, we have not a reason to critically look at the fact that maybe it is not a Western model of a non-governmental organization or civil society or business that we need. We need something that is more attuned with our people, our culture, and what actually really works. So as aid was beginning to end, it has ended actually. I felt the need that African institutions, organizations that were wholly African institutions needed to arise and were doing the job of job creators, innovators, innovation, and also being think tanks and thought leaders that lead in this direction, that are able to now say, this is what works, and this is what Africa represents, and this is what we not a Western ideology handed down from colonial times. That doesn't work, and that's part of the problem. But not that I'm blaming anybody, I'm just saying it is what it is, and it is time for us to shift a little bit. So I started myself and then my co-founder and others, including Fatima, we started this organization and this institution in the hope that we will become the mouthpiece. If Africa were to miss out on INGOs and other international partners, we actually really don't have many institutions that represent us. So that's what we are trying to be, the model organization, one of the model organizations that will begin to speak on behalf of this continent and see that job creation, innovation, business, trade, etc., is happening on this continent. So our goal is a catalytic African development institution, and we are geared at creating jobs on the continent using African resources. In other words, we are African. And I wouldn't describe myself as a Pan-African, but I am in sentiment, but I think that Pan-Africanism also needs a reformation. So it needs a next level. It was good for what it was in the past, but now it needs critical looking at. So I don't like to describe myself as a Pan-African, but in spirit, I am a Pan-African, if that makes sense. So our goal really is the creation of a vibrant youth and gender social enterprise movement focused on practical high impact solutions. That's job creation, innovation, futuristic technology. And so we do that through training and programs that lead to transformative jobs and advocacy that will result in a business environment conducive for youth entrepreneurship and an Africa beyond aid. In short, everything that we do, our focus is on women especially, even though it is on the whole continent, our focus is on women, and we are looking at solving sexual and gender-based violence across the whole board, because without job creation, without economic empowerment, I don't believe that there can be an end to violence of any sort, and that all the things that we see in our society, conflicts, disputes, all those things that, coup d'etats, etc., are going to continue until we solve this issue and this challenge of shared prosperity, because 80% or 90%, we also work in conflicts as well. And I realize that 80 to 90% of all the problems are rooted in poverty of some sort. So thinking. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. So what's the current reality? I'll just quickly run through those. Majority of the continent's youth do not have access to economic opportunities. This is something we all know, and this is something that the African Development Bank has recognized. So I got these statistics from them. 420 million youth reported by the bank, which is the age of 15 to 35, that's what they call youth, are unemployed and actually despondent, very, very discouraged, as you will be. Some are going for 6 years without getting jobs after university. They're doing all kinds of things to survive, and then migration is the final outcome. And this is not good for any people at all. So it means that we are constantly living in a state of emergency. We are constantly, everybody here is somehow managing until they are able to stow away on a boat or go abroad. And that's not good for us. 1/3 of these people are vulnerably employed. That means that they are underemployed. It means that you go and get an engineering, you may have an engineering degree, but maybe you are doing selling cakes because you just have to survive and there are no job opportunities. So most of the people who are employed in Africa are actually underemployed because they just have to survive and they're doing things to survive. But when you speak to them, you realize that this person actually has a skill or has a gift or has a degree or a postgraduate degree, but the job opportunities are just not there. Only 1 in 6 have access to wage employment. And let me be clear that I actually think these figures, and they told me that these figures are probably half of what is the reality, but because so much of it is informal, it could actually be, these were what they could prove, but actually it's a higher rate and a higher number. So only 1 in 6 have access to wage employment. So you can imagine the burden that is lying on a lot of people, their families and certain individuals, which also causes another system of conflict. You know how you have one family, everybody's living on one person, etc. So these are the unintended consequences and impact that this continues to have in our society. So all of this has led to the unstable atmosphere, which has recently evidenced by the coup d'etats that we've been seeing across the continent. Yes, there are a lot of other different factors, but the root cause is the fact that when people are not stable, when people do not have money in their pockets, when people cannot provide, when people cannot live a life of dignity, then you are really at tipping point and it's just waiting to blow up. And that's why we have all these election problems. Then we also have the issue of governance, et cetera, and all these come together to create a pot of violence or insurgency, etc. So that's where it starts from. And so if we are going to ever address this issue, then we have to go back to look at the issue of job creation, wealth creation, and shared prosperity. Next slide, please. I'm going to turn off my video because there's a little bit of challenge with the network. So I think I'll turn off the video for now and then let it come back later when it's more stable. So the consequences are insurgency and conflict, forced migration and its unintended consequences. When I talk about forced migration, I'm talking about our young people wanting to leave our shores and even older people, and the unintended consequences, which tend to be trafficking, high crime rates, people being taken across the desert, being sold, overburdening other governments. It's just a whole mess, families being torn apart, people go, they die, or they're in prison, or they're captured in Libya, all kinds of things happening at the time. At the moment, there's a whole lot of things coming up around prostitution, the issue of trafficking to the Gulf, et cetera, et cetera. This is because this is what happens when people leave a country en masse in search for better lands. And when you have an entire continent doing that, it's not healthy. So sexual and gender-based violence, poverty, child labor, burdening other countries, all of that is due to a consequence of lack of jobs. Jobs give dignity, jobs give purpose, job makes a man feel dignified, makes him able to lead, makes women happy, makes happy family, etc. So we cannot overlook or dispute the fact that this is a critical aspect of life. And actually, without a job, I met somebody who had said she had not worked for 6 years after university. And you can imagine the mental horrors and having to wake up every day in her parents' house, whether as nice and kind as your parents may be. I mean, it is very, very frustrating. And so somebody in this position, can you imagine if she's offered something that is actually not the best? She'll probably take a chance at doing that because she just wants to leave the country or she wants to be able to earn. So this is what we see, and then in sales of drugs, we see drug trafficking. That's also another problem. We see prostitution. All these things are because people feel they cannot be employed and have a decent wage, so they're going to turn to those vices in order to meet that demand. Next slide. So how can this end? This can end through the proliferation of SMEs that unlock innovation. Our culture in general and societies are supposed to be dynamic. There is something for every generation. There's new innovations, there's new things that to be discovered, the sources of wealth. And that's where people are able to identify correctly that Africa is the largest raw material, has an ecosystem of raw materials. Why are we poor? Why is this a challenge? Why are we not seeing that evidence through our GDPs, et cetera, et cetera? Rather, we are in debt and other situations and highest. And we all know what happened recently with so many countries having to go back to the IMF because Ukraine went to war. And then you have to ask yourself, why should a European country going to war affect us so much? That's because they produce the grain that we eat. Can we not grow our own grains? These are things that are very important. So we're always in this vulnerable mode. And then you have COVID, you have anything. So we are not resilient at all. anything, we sort of live in hand to mouth, and it's crazy, really, when you look at it. And it's been going on for years and years and years and years. And somehow, when we talk about the problem, we go to the African Union, we go on different platforms, we talk to private sector, we always think it's somebody else who has to fix this problem. That's my challenge with us in Africa. It's always government, it's always somebody else, it's each and every one of us. I'll get to that later. It's each and every one of us. So somebody thinks that job creation is somebody else's problem. We complain all the time, we moan, we whine, we do this, we do that, not thinking that actually the fact that this has been around for only God knows how many centuries shows that there's an inherent problem is somewhere that we need to look at. So one of the things that I talk about is that the need for the proliferation of SMEs or businesses, trade hubs, etc., that unlock the innovation. Innovation is critical because innovation allows you to diversify. When you have a society that is producing the same things or very little of the same things, and that is where the link is. We have raw materials, but the ability to turn maize, corn, wheat, whatever it is, into 1,000 other products is the problem. When you go to other developed societies, you find out that they are able to do a lot of value addition. So they're able to grow one stock of corn or maize or whatever, and turn it into bread, turn it into crisps, turn it into crackers, have factories, production centers, etc., and they are of such good quality that everybody keeps on buying. And so the innovations keep coming. So something is wrong when a country is not innovating. Something is wrong when a society is not innovating and stops innovating, because that is the source of their wealth. When we now talk about job creation, it lies with me and you, it lies with the private sector. Yes, it lies with government to some extent, but actually, I say this and people are surprised that government in many developed societies is not responsible for creating jobs. Yes, they are responsible for creating the enabling environment and ensure that taxes are paid or are at a level that people, find it conducive to come and invest, etc. And all that is there. We're not removing, but really, it's really private sector and individuals, etc., that create jobs, not government. Let that sink in for a moment. Job creation is government's responsibility, but only up to a certain level. They are there to create the enabling environment. We, the citizens, we, the private sector, are the ones supposed to wake up and take that environment or use that environment. I'm not saying it actually exists, that's also another issue, and create and innovate and come up with different things that can bring money. And that is how you create high net worth individuals. When you create high net worth individuals or businesses that are of a certain level, then you now have more people in the country that can contribute to philanthropy. So that's how it works. So all these things of having to go for aid, charity, etc., and people asking that, oh, where is African philanthropy? It is because we are also not growing the kind of billionaires or millionaires that would in turn be able to now come and put their hand in their pocket and say, look, what, our AU is defunct, our societies, our governments, this is that and the other. We will take the responsibility of financing those. So I want you to leave today knowing that job creation is me and you. It's the churches, and that's another problem I have with the church, and I'm a minister, that we stand there, we criticize all these things, but we claim to be the ones who have the mind of Christ. We are very religious, whether it's Islam or any religion, then you are supposed to bring solutions, not to just complain and criticize other people. You are actually supposed to bring solutions to teach other people. And so the role of religion as well, even in terms of how we even look at technology, how we engage, every time there's a new technology, then we end up having a 5-part series on how evil it is, how dangerous it is, etc. And then we stop and at that phase, and we avoid all those things. When social media came out, I remember when AI came out, how this is the end of the world and how evil it is. Nothing is wrong with technology. It's only how you employ it. It's just like money. There's nothing wrong with money. You can use it. If you use it to go and create a nuclear bomb, that's one thing. You can also use it for good. Now we're all using AI, before you realize even these pastors will be using augmented reality to create holograms to be preaching all over the world whilst they're in one location. So this is all part of the problem, that we need to change how we view things, how we let religion speak to some of the things, because all those things halt innovation. In a country, there's always green economy, which is the agric side of things. There's blue economy, which is the stuff from the seas, the stuff from the sky. Everything in society has been put there, but it is for us to tap and develop it. It doesn't just fall from the sky. So we get a tree, and the tree, at the beginning, we only knew that people were making clothes out of them. Then out of clothes, we realized we can make papyrus. Out of papyrus, at some point, somebody realized we could make pamphlets. At some point, somebody realized that we could make paper. Then we started paper mills. Then paper mills realized we could make money from trees, the same paper. Then at some point, we realized that the same tree has rubber. And so rubber can now make plastics, which is also another source of income. But then the plastic can become a credit card, and so it goes on and on and on. So from one tree, however, it's not given to you at the beginning as money. It's not given to you as plastic. Then now I haven't even got into the leaves and the fruits and the medicinal herb and the fruits becoming material for export. All of these things are contained. I'm just talking about one tree here. So you can imagine everything that's around us, our herbs, everything, if only we would research and we would turn them into something. We do not need to go, every society was created self-sustaining. That is my belief, and it is true. There's something in the sky, something in your water. Recently I love reading about innovations. I spent a lot of time reading about innovations and learning innovation and trying to be innovative myself, because that's the only way you can survive in this world, I think. I think that's the only way. Marriage, a religion, a relationship, anything can survive. We are supposed to be innovative. That makes you an interesting society. That makes people want to trade with you. That makes people want to come to you. That makes you want to be able to develop your countries that others have. So many times when we talk about the issue of racism and people looking down on us as African people, I'm not disputing that, but a lot of it comes from the fact that we don't innovate, we don't contribute. We seem to be consuming everything and producing nothing. That's the problem. So going back to the IMF 18 times, in between the 17th time and the 18th time, what are we doing differently? What have we done differently? And what are we going to do differently between now and so that the 19th time doesn't happen? So that if COVID should come tomorrow, if 10 COVID should appear, we are resilient. So our governments live on borrowed hand-to-mouth money, et cetera, et cetera. Somebody else comes and pays for those money. And by then they borrowed, so they've left. And so maybe the debts have run up and are 2 or 3 times what they actually borrowed. And then another government comes in, they do, and then they are empty coffers. They do the same thing over and over and over and over again. So this cycle, this vicious cycle has to stop, and can only be stopped by Africans ourselves. We have so many things that are around us that can be turned into businesses. One thing that the colonial administration did was to really turn us into clerks, administrators. We don't seem to be able to really be bold and wake up and be able to take chances, right? Somebody goes into, I was recently looking at some of the underwater restaurants in Maldives, and all the Africans that I shared with are like, oh, no, me, I'll never go. And you know why they say that? It's because from a young age, they've been taught that there are spirits in the sea. And so they think that anything to do with the sea is wrong. But the sea is also another place of great resources. I was watching something, some Westerners have found a crab, which is about 400 and something years old. And the crab has blue blood, but it's good for medical stuff. And so that crab with the blue blood has, somebody has turned into a business. And so they sort of draining the blood. They're not killing them. They're draining enough of the blood. And 1 gallon is $63,000. 1 gallon is $63,000. So without innovation, without us thinking outside of the box, without us doing new things or attempting to break these limiting beliefs that hold us back, whether through religion, whether through our culture, et cetera, and that's the difference between us and some people. Some people who have never been told that any spirits live in the sea are very happy to wake up in the morning, go into the sea, go and fish or find whatever they need to find, dive and find whatever they need and come and produce it. They don't think twice about doing it because they have never ever come to a place where they have this limiting belief. So how can this end? This can only end through the proliferation of SMEs that unlock innovation. We need to start an innovation movement, but the innovation movement cannot start without us relooking at our education system. I go back again to the issue of the colonial administration turning us into clerks and administrators. We are very happy going to an office, wearing a suit for somebody to tell us that we have been replaced by some new technology eventually. And that's what happens when you yourself are just a recipient and you are not producing. Eventually, we are in the 5th industrial revolution. It is made up of human beings and robots. Recently, a friend of mine who has 200 staff laid off almost 170 of his staff and is now using 3 staff because he can use, it's automated. The whole farm is automated. They are spraying with drones, et cetera, et cetera. So we put ourselves at risk. Futuristic technology has been on board for the last, only God knows, decade. I remember when he first came, I was sent on a course in Sweden. to be able to see how you can manage huge operations through AI. And it came to the fact that there's coming a different kind of structure where people will be working more from home, et cetera, as we have all evidence, so there'll be less reliance on human beings. Yet we are sitting here, I don't see African governments or we ourselves getting up into a frenzy and say, hey, let's not wait for the truck to come and hit us. Let's be, how do you call it? Let's be proactive and find what is the solution, what is the way out, so that we are not left wanting. So that's why everybody panics whenever there's something new, because we always feel that whatever we have or we have is the only way. I can tell you that is not the only way. The societies that are innovating, that have gone ahead of us, are no different than us. They are no better. They don't have any different blood. They just took some smart decision. Example being China, example being Singapore. They were all like us before. At some point, some people got together and said, no, this has to stop. Something has to give up. We need to find our own way, and they did. And we are even enjoying the yields and profits of that. So this is what Africa also needs to do. We need to create Africa to become a hub where innovators, where people can come and buy things, where people can find good materials, where things are done, quality assurance, et cetera, et cetera. So we don't even need to import anything. We import even toothpicks. That's an embarrassment. And yet we pray more than anybody. We pray, we have more night vigils and 3 months fasting and prayers. Anyway, I'll go there. Let me try and cover those things. So innovation leads to production of goods and services that bring in demand. So we need to look at our education system or look at something that can bring back the innovations that we had, because our forefathers were innovative. Before slavery, we heard about all these wonderful empires. So something happened and we stopped dreaming. So we need to make that happen. Wherever Black people are, you always find that there's a problem with wealth creation and governance, whether they're in America, whether they are in the West Indies, et cetera, there's always a problem. So we need to really look at how we are training people, how we are thinking, how culturally we are really harnessing and being trendy as well. When I say trendy, I mean, let's keep up with trends. We have an obsession with the past and our ancestors and things like that. There's nothing wrong with doing that when it's in context, but it's a little bit too much. We need to look at the future. We need to look at what, because we live in the now. We don't live in the yesterday. So we need to look at the future and see what kind of world can we create for our young people. So cross-border trade such as ACFTA, instead of dependence on foreign exports, we need to be able to trade among ourselves. It's cheaper and we can make the resources that we are giving to other people, we can make those money here and keep everything here on the continent. Now I've talked about African youth must take their eyes off their governments and look to the private sector. When I said, I don't mean that you go and just knock on the doors of banks. There needs to arise a new sector in Africa, which is made up of innovators, social enterprises, businesses, private sector, et cetera, that is driving all this innovation. It is not the job of government, and it is not going to happen. Governments have not done it for, they're already in debt. Even if they wanted to do it, I don't think it's going to happen for another 100 years. They're in debt. They have so many problems of their own. Even if they wanted to do it, and so looking to government and complaining about government, it's not going to happen. I made that decision a long time. We can move and find our own way. There's enough of us to be able to, and I keep saying, all the problems that we have as Africans, if each of us, if we did crowdfunding and each of us gave $1 a year, I'm not even talking about those in the rural areas who are desperately poor, $1 a year, which I think all of us will be able to afford. I didn't say a month, I didn't say a week, once a year. We can solve all our problems. We can resource a new education system, a new governance system, a new African Union, a new Africa capacity, but all the things that we need to do, at least on some level, get the diaspora, get the education system, get our young people. We can do that if we all donated one. So what exactly are we waiting for? Who do we think is going to come from somewhere? There's enough money locked up in the churches, in the mosques, and because we have 2 billion people. We have 2 billion people. If only 100,000 or even 500,000 people decided to contribute and donate, and not everybody will donate just one, some people will be able to do more, etc. We can solve all of our problems within a year. So I'm very impatient when it comes to, oh, you don't understand and blah, 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 Anyway, and then our education system less focused on colonial legacy, but rather business. It's an embarrassment. Colonialism has been over for the last 70, 80 years, and we still have not been able to design a basic education system. What happened? And the people, we keep on blaming people, and the people who are here today, who are even in the West, are not the people who did that. It was their forefathers. So is it right that we blame them permanently for these problems? I don't want to be blamed for something my forefathers did. Some of them were slavers, some of them kidnapped people and were selling them, et cetera, et cetera. I don't want to come and pay a debt that I did not incur or was incurred before I came. Yes, collectively, I still think the West has an obligation towards especially Black Americans, et cetera, et cetera. But once they work those out, that is not exactly how a nation or a continent is supposed to survive. And then those who are taken away and sold have a right, the descendants of those people, to want reparations. But those of us who are left behind, those of us who actually sold them, why do we need reparations? What is the excuse for that? So something is wrong. That tells me that over 50 years, nobody has even been able to sit down and design a simple education system of saying that, this doesn't work. We need to add this, that, seeing how the world is going. We need to put new courses, STEM, this, that, and the other. And 80 years, honestly, Africans, today, this morning, I came to wake you up. So the result of our defunct education system ensures we are always behind the rest of the world. It really is defunct. If you know how bad our education system is, it makes us be at least 300 years behind the rest of the world. That's part of the problem. So from a young age, children and adults are not being inspired or taught how to be innovative. It's just chew and pour. And we all know the issues with our education system. I'm not even going to go in there. And so that is why you, again, have so many people going for Western education and paying all those huge sums of money so that they can have a decent education. And then I've mentioned our religions tend to frown on futuristic innovations. I won't even go there anymore. Religion is another whole thing, and the limiting beliefs that we allow it to impose on ourselves. There's nothing wrong with religion if done right. But currently what we are having in Africa is also as a result, it's actually resulting in some of the challenges that we see and how we think, So anyway, next slide, please. So I wanted to give a program example, I just come and talk plenty, and then I sound like I'm also blaming people. So we have a number of programs, but one program is called Scaling Women SMEs, and it's designed to fund and enable the growth of high-impact women-led enterprises across Africa. So we focus on SDG 1, 5, and 8, which is gender equality, which is zero hunger, and then no poverty. So we look at innovation, we look at value chain creation, really, with cooperative. The cooperative model is so good for Africa, because when you get a group of people and you get working together, manufacturing, et cetera, that is the way forward, creating product, and that's what India is using, that's what Asia is using for the garment industry, for anything. I don't know why we think that we are any different. Nothing is going to happen until we get the cooperative movement back in its place. In Latin America, everywhere there's been a good revolution, people's revolution, it all started with cooperatives. It started with cooperatives having access to finance themselves through their village savings and loans or credit unions or rural banks, et cetera. So you can actually create and form an alternative to government that is stronger than government, right? Which is actually good. You're not trying to fight government. Government is there to, help with certain things, policies and open doors, et cetera. But they can't do this thing. There's too many of us, and neither do I think the African governments at the moment have the skills that it requires to do it. So what we are trying to do is that we create production hubs, and we create production hubs that can produce en masse. So we take a small group of women and we look at what is in the area that they can do, and then we create a value chain around that. Now, this is the beginnings of what is supposed to be factories, but we can't just start building factories. It's a whole, initiative, long-term goal. But this is what we are hoping that eventually we'll start, we'll develop into bigger factories, or just, but I'm not somebody who lives in La La Land. Small production units when you come to an area, 50 women at the most, 100 women at the most, just, whether it's dried fruits, whether it's some innovation, and every area has something innovative. There's all kinds of herbs, all kinds of, for all I know, this plant outside my office is actually the cure for HIV, but because we don't do for AIDS, and because we don't do any research, we don't know. So we always come late to the table. So we have to really, really get serious, look at research, find out what is around us, create something, and that's where value addition comes in. We can't just continue. When we claim that Africa is rich, yes, it is rich in resources, it is rich in commodities, but no country ever survives on just the commodities alone. It's simply not enough. It doesn't matter how much gold you have, you cannot live on that alone with your population. You need to add value. And that's also what makes you a dynamic society and ensures that there's continuous wealth creation. It doesn't mean that everybody just has enough. You add value, you add value, you add value to this, you add value to this. So that, like I said, that one product can become 200 different things. I talked about maize. Maize can become crisps, Doritos. People are making toothbrushes out of that, loofahs, all kinds of things. That's where it gets interesting. And that's where the problem and the challenges. And so the skills that is needed to do value addition, the vision, the kind of production hubs, factories, and the access to markets, which should be our continent. And that's where ACFTA comes and things like that, and cross-border trade, et cetera, comes in, where we can trade among ourselves and make money among ourselves so that the money remains in the African community instead of going out. What happens with the Jews is that the money circulates in their society at least 8 times before going out. And that's what we're supposed to do. it should circulate among us, but immediately everything just goes out from day one. You give me money, the next minute I just want to buy a jar of granola. I'm buying something foreign, of course, because there's no substitute, African substitute. So we really need to look at locally produced goods and a whole sector around that. It's not just made in Ghana. And if we want to be able to produce the locally good goods, the quality must be good. If you're telling people, oh, don't give your money to Versace, don't give your money to Christian Dior, you know, because there must be an African version, which is better than that because people want quality. Somebody just brought me something the other day and the packaging was ripped before she has even given the thing to me. We can't continue to produce low quality stuff and expect people to patronize us, fellow Africans or diasporans. That's not realistic. We need to be able to at least come up, even if 80% at the beginning, once we work on the other 20%, so that people can say, okay, I'll buy this instead, because nobody is going to work, make their money and come and buy rubbish. That's another reality. So thinking that the diaspora, African diaspora should just come and help and involve and invest, you know, no, we have to give people something really, really good for them to be able to say, okay, then let me substitute this with this and make an impact in my own land, you know. But if the thing is not, it's terrible, if we are not honest, if we don't, even postage is the problem, you know, let me not even just frustrate, you know, let's move to the next slide. So I talk here about, I give you an example of about how we do and how we create the value chains. It's much more complex. And then that's where futuristic technologies like AI, Internet of Things, especially for the creation of value chains, is very important, especially between regions. And so we need to look at all of that and add those things. And that's what makes us current. That's what makes us interesting. That's what makes us advanced. Being able to take our indigenous knowledge, applying the futuristic technology to it, and coming out with amazing things. We're the first people who were coding and stuff like that. You know, the pyramids of Egypt, we're writing all these hieroglyphics and cuneiform. So we should be the lead in all those things. We should be the lead in all those things. I don't know what went wrong. And even now the Egyptians want to say that they're not African. And people will continue to disclaim you if they feel that you are not a productive group of people. I'm not saying they are right, but I'm just saying I'm being realistic, right? So Africa, if we want racism to stop, if we want to be able to have a voice, if we want the world to sit up and take attention to what we say, we really need to look at this innovation. We really need to look at changing the dynamics. We really need to be able to study certain courses. That's another thing. We need, when we go to school, let's stop studying certain things that work in another era. We need to become more trendy. There are new skills, urban design, you know, different things that we need to do now. Because when you look at your society and you realize that, okay, this is the problem, we continue to need this kind of engineers or contractors or whatever it is, then that's the sign that you and I should go and make our children or ourselves study those kind of subjects so that we can come and fill in that gap instead of having to recruit foreign workers to come in, manage our oil, drill our oil, you know, or Chinese to come and help manage our mining, et cetera, et cetera. I have no problem with somebody being given a job or receiving a job, but at least let's be competitive. Let's create those opportunities for ourselves. Like I said, they are no different from us. At a certain point, they realize that they must take a certain path and a certain way, and that's what they did. And 20 years later, 30 years later, 40 years later, they are reaping the benefits of that. Now, before I end, I wanted to say, it's not only goods and services, right? That goods that you have to create. You go somewhere like Singapore and they've been able to hone several services. So that's why I realized you actually don't also need to have a commodities-based market, so to speak. You can actually create a service that you are very, very, very good at, and everybody in the world will come to you for that service, and you can just be reaping the benefits of that. So that's, you know, so it's either goods and service or services, or just one or the other, or both. I mean, an ideal situation will be both, because then you can make more money, right? So that's what you get in places like Serbia, places like Singapore, etc., who have been able to come up with an economy that is based just on being really good at a service. So Africa, what are we really good at? You know, I think agric is a low-hanging fruit. Health and other things are very important as well. But I think that we are actually the guardian of the planet. I think that we have so many medicinal herbs and that can do interesting things, and we've never even begun to scratch the surface of what some of these things around us are. And that's where we can do value addition. We can come up with different products. We can come up with teas. We can come up, you know, that the masses enjoy and they will buy from us. We are over 2 billion people. If we get our act together and all those 2 billion people are buying from each other, that's where we solve the problem immediately. If today 2 billion people or 1 billion of those people or 5 were to even start just buying things uniquely from Africa, made in Africa, you know, we will solve all the problems that we have been talking about. So life is not that complicated. This job creation thing is not that complicated. Somebody have to think that, oh, this is something out there. No, it's not. We can actually solve this problem. We can actually create systems of our own. We can build institutions of our own, or we can manage to self-lead. And that is the direction which the Tribe and Social Innovation Africa are looking to take in Nigeria and other places across the continent. We are not the only ones, of course. So many people doing amazing things. Fatima will come and also talk to you about that. So many wonderful things that she's also doing as well. And she's part of us as well. But yeah, and then Amanda will speak on that, Anna as well. There are many people we need to just come together, convince the masses to follow us, and follow whoever is also doing another initiative in whatever, somebody is in futuristic technology. I said, we all come together and then we now plan for our countries. It's the same. Each country may have a different commodities or issues and challenges and things like that. But some things we all share. We need an enabling environment. We need policies. There's no entrepreneurship policies in Africa, no innovation policies, no impact investing policies, all of that. We need to create it for the continent. And we can just create one that can be a template for everybody to go and copy. So we just need to be able to have some people being able to sit down and say that, okay, for the next 5 years, we're going to strengthen the African Union. We're going to create, we are going to strengthen ACFTA. And we can crowdfund to pay for all of this. We're going to have some consultants from different countries, maybe a group of 10 or 12, sit down and really look at the kind of education system that is needed. It's not that, and on top of all that, even with those ones, we even still have high net worth individuals and rich people who can just say, I'll pay for this or I'll pay for that, or, it doesn't have to, we don't have to continue sitting somewhere and think that government should come and get up and do that for us. That's very defeatist, very, very defeatist. So on that note, I know it's time is going. I would like to end. I don't know if there's a question and answer period afterwards. And yeah, I'm very passionate because I work in conflict. I work with women. I work in abuse. I've seen the worst. All this stuff that is happening and tribe rising against tribe. It's all because of a scramble for resources. Tribe feeling they left out, etc. So we have to fix this resource issue. I'm not saying we'll get it 100%, but if we want to have a society that's at peace, that is stable, etc., 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 we need to look at this. So everything else that we do is just really putting out fire. We're not looking at the root cause. Every time there's elections, there's violence. It can always be predicted. Why is that? Why don't we put our energies rather in manufacturing? Why don't we as I talked about AI, the factories of the future, now it's being run on this type of technology. I've not seen anywhere where Africans have gathered together to see how they're going to design or come up with a plan on how we're going to design the factories of the future, what we're going to be doing in those factories, how we're going to finance those factories. We don't have those kinds of conversations because we want to run to another donor to give us money. Every time you talk to people, I'm not, I was part of the aid system. I came out of it because I was curious, right? Why do we have so much knowledge? Why? It's a never-ending cycle. And so we cannot say that the West is also bad. Yes, they may have their challenges and things like that. I don't care whether they are bad or not. I think that's the issue. They are not us. They're not responsible for us. We have to find our own way. There was a time that a lot of funding was also given to Africa. I think 600 trillion, I can't remember. And then we also squandered it. The good old days of NGOism, when it started, everybody started an NGO and so much money was being put in. Did we use it to start social enterprises or things knowing that it will end one day? No, we use it to fly around the world and go for conferences and all those kind of things. So we only have ourselves to blame in this situation right now. It is nobody. And let us also look at population control as we're at it. I'll end on that, on that subject. Anyway, thank you very much for having me. It's been a pleasure being here. And I look forward to other interactions in the future with you. Feel free to reach out to me on Anatu at siafrica.online, and you can get my contact from the tribe. And yeah, let's talk and let's continue to keep the conversations going. Everything that was started that ever made sense in society was always started by a handful of people. It wasn't by the masses. If you look at even religion, Jesus Christ started with 12 disciples. You also look at what we call the Illuminati today, the Freemasons, anybody. The banking system, it was just a small group of people, 10, 20, 30 people that decided, okay, we're going to make a difference. And then they started. It's never with the masses. And they begin the spark that everybody now enjoys and finally gets on board. So this group that has gathered here this morning, I'm hoping that I'll set your hearts ablaze, that you go, some of you are doing amazing things. Let's all join up and link up and see how we can work together, how we can reproduce those innovations, how we can have an information center, and eventually how can we crowdfund? from our countries and from our diaspora and fix these problems that I'm talking about. Once and for all, we can do that within a year if the money alone is there. We all know the consultants, the expertise is there. We can solve half of Africa's problems if we do that. So thank you very much. And a very good morning to all of you. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much, Anatu. Thank you so much. I wish the person controlling the room can unmute everyone so that we can just give her a round of applause. I think the comment sessions are going up and bubbling, but I just feel like someone wants to just shout and say, this is it, because that's how I feel right now. Thank you so much, Anatu. Your session is really insightful. I think some of the major take home I like the fact that you did not just share the problems, you also profiled solutions and also showed us step by step some of the things you are already doing in your space, which really shows that you are putting in the work and you're not just talking, and it's really inspiring. I also think that some of your major takeaways were that we need to take responsibility as Africans to chart our path. And it all begins with the transformed mindset. So once we have the right mindset, it will also inspire us to take innovative steps to find products and services that we can chart that will provide more solutions to our problems. So I think that someone has gotten so much value, because I have, and I'm really excited about this session. Thank you so much, Anatu. It's really amazing to have you here. I wish you would stay behind, because I know some persons would have questions to ask you, but we intend to take the questions after the panel session once the other facilitators have spoken, so that we can all combine the questions together and have a good time asking and answering questions. So I really hope that you will be available even after the panel session, so that people will ask you questions. So I'm sure you are getting value. I saw that Emmanuel Vincent was dropping highlights. I saw a few other persons dropping highlights in the comment section. Please feel free to drop your highlights in the comment section, because oftentimes it is said that the faintest pencil is sharper than the sharpest brain. So just drop it, and don't just drop it in the comment section. I hope that you're writing down and taking notes where necessary. I'm not the only moderator on this program, and it's my privilege and honor to invite the next moderator to take over this session and proceed with the panel session. Please, without further ado, please help me make welcome Janet to take over, as she will be moderating the panel session with some other person and also calling up the facilitators for the panel session. So Janet, it's over to you. I hope you are still on the call.
Thank you very much, Blessing. It's been wonderful. I am amazed by what we have learned here. And honestly speaking, as a trade advisor, I understand everything Madam Anatu said. Sometimes I feel we are just too greedy or self-entitled for us to pursue a whole lot of things. Because, you know, interacting with people from the Western world lets you know that Africans, we have a lot to give than receive. But everything explained here is wonderful. And as a lecturer, I know the challenges we face in our educational system. They just don't want to change it. And the people who have the resources to help out with this don't want to, cause then they would have to have their children school in our community. So they fly their children outside, learn, bring them back to come and rule us. Meanwhile, we all have the very same qualities and knowledge and expertise to also come together to contribute to our communities and countries at large. But what do we see? Greed, unfairness here and there, but that is just by the way. This conference is actually to promote a sustainable strategy for job creation and trade in Africa. It is also to provide a platform for entrepreneurs to access growth linkages across Africa. Why are we doing this? We are doing this to provide a networking platform for entrepreneurs and career professionals, stakeholders to network with other entrepreneurs across the continent, thereby fostering trade And lastly, to promote dialogue and cooperation between aspiring business owners and career leaders. This is why this conference has been organized. It is amazing.
Hi, Janet, are you still there? Okay, I guess her network, I'm sure she'll be joining us back. But while she joins us back, I encourage that if you have questions, you can just find a way to write it somewhere, because we'll definitely have enough time for questions. We have amazing speakers lined up to tell you more. And I love the fact that Anatu has set the tone. In fact, before Anatu even started, we had the former First Lady of Imo State, Mrs. Rochas, lay the foundation about how we can begin. And Anatu just came up again to not just show us how, but also give us practical steps on how to go about it. And I'm sure that you are already inspired to begin to build and grow and find innovative ways to champion a chat in Africa. We have speakers like Fatima, we have speakers.
Hello. Sorry, today is just a stormy day in Ghana, Accra. I don't know about Nigeria, so it's kind of giving me a little bit of problems. Please let me see some welcoming emojis and all of that. Can I see some welcoming emojis? I'm just going to turn my video
Okay, welcome.
so that, I mean, you've seen my face enough. It's even in the flyers, so that would be fine. Let's see some welcoming emojis as we welcome some of our speakers and all. So I was saying that this conference is actually to promote a sustainable strategy for job creation and trade in Africa. It is also to us provide a platform for entrepreneurs to access growth linkages across Africa, and to provide a networking platform for entrepreneurs and career professionals, stakeholders to network with other entrepreneurs across the continent, thereby fostering trade. And finally, the motive behind aspiring business and career leaders. To begin with and introduce my speakers or my panelists, my name is Janet Usudako. You see Global Compare from Ghana on the flyer, but I am more than that. I am a trade advisor. I am a climate negotiator and activist. I am a content and digital marketer. I am an education consultant and manager. I am a translator and interpreter. I am a conference and event hosting, as I'm doing today. And I am a course facilitator and assessor, in short, a lecturer. Thank you very much for having me. With that little said, I want to introduce my panelists, if they are here. Please, if I introduce you, just raise your hand for us to know that you are here. I would like to introduce Madame Fatima Ali Mohammed, who happens to be the founder of Africa Brand Warrior from Rwanda, Madame Fatima Ali Mohammed. Hi, Madame Fatima. And then we have Madame Lieto.
Ghana, not
Thank you.
Rwanda.
Okay, you are from Ghana. All right. Thank you. I would like to apologize for that. And we have Madame Amanda Lieto from Zimbabwe, founder Luazi Institute. Are you here? Can you raise your hand for us? Okay, you raised your hand. Nice, welcome. And we have Madame Letitia Bertrand from Kinsach, Oxford. Madame Letitia, if you are here, can you raise your hand for us? And then we have Madame Anna Sameka, founder of MBC Africa Mali. If you are here, kindly raise your hand for us. And we are coming to discuss unlocking potential for progress in Africa, how to unlock potentials for progress in Africa. And then Madame Letitia will actually talk on artificial intelligence and job creation in Africa. So I'm going to begin with the first three, Madame Fatima, Amanda, and Anna. And Madame Fatima, I would like you to give a brief statement about yourself, what you do on Africa Brand Warrior. Thank you.
Great, thank you very much. Thank you, Gabriel. Thank you, Anatu. Anatu pulled me into this. So thank you very much. And I really needed to make time for it. I did have a busy schedule, but I said I'm going to do this because Anatu asked me, and also because I'm very passionate about Africa and sustainability and the future that we want to create for ourselves. I am actually a Kenyan, but now I actually start presenting myself as I'm an African who lives in Ghana, who happens to be Kenyan, because we've become Pan-Africanists and we can't be thinking nationalities anymore. It's not about Ghana or Nigeria or Kenya. We need to start thinking very cohesively as one. I have been, for those in Nigeria, was responsible. So I came in from, I was set up in Uganda to set up a refinery there. Of cooking oil, got transferred to Ghana. For those who are in Ghana, you know the brand Fritol. I came to set up the refinery here and also build the brand across for West Africa. I did that for 5 years. I decided to set up my own company for consultancy because I felt it was unfair to have the kind of knowledge and information and passion that I have and limit it to a salary at the end of the month. Sometimes I regret it because being an entrepreneur is very, very difficult in comparison to being in an employed job. In Nigeria, the brand Mamador is the brand that I also created and worked very closely with there in terms of building that as well. So African Brand Warrior was created mainly because one of the challenges we have as Africa is that we suffer from trust issues, severe trust issues. We don't trust ourselves on the continent. Forget the fact that trusting one another in the country itself. So businesses, collaborations do not work because we do not trust one another. Secondly, is that we tend to focus a lot more on export markets. We want to believe that whatever we do for the Americas, the UKs, the Canadians should be better than what we're going to sell to ourselves on the continent. So African Brand Warrior got created to come in and help build African brands, be able to tell the African story so that we are able to not only sell to the 1.4 billion population that we have on the continent, but to also sell a story when you're exporting. I mean, it's not just about exporting a shea butter, putting it in gold foil packaging. Let the people sitting in America, let the people who are sitting in Germany buying that product know the story of that product. Let them know where its origins from. Let them know that the people who are producing that product, because I believe that every African that produces a product is actually packing that product with their dreams, with their stories, with their love, with their pains, with their everything. You know, Anato talked very well about the difference of what we're trying to do, what government is supposed to be doing, what we are supposed to be doing as private people and also as citizens. We need to understand that creating jobs is actually fundamental, just as the way you have fundamental aspects that are required of you in your religion, that is also required of you as a national of your continent, because the land that we're going to be buried in can choose to spit us out if we have not been loyal to the continent. So I will leave the rest for the panel, because when I'm very passionate about what we do on the continent, I don't want to eat on everyone's time, but I would really want to touch in on the aspects to do with women, aspects on youth, and also to break away a lot of the myths that we have, because I think the stories we continue to tell ourselves as Africans, and the stories our leaders continue to tell, are not in match with reality. Everybody's sitting up here, but what is really happening on the ground is a totally different story. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that brief introduction. I really appreciate it. You said you can't be thinking about nationalities anymore, and we suffer from trust issues. I actually have had that experience as well. But then we will come to you. I want us to have a very brief statement from, we need to have a very brief statement from Madame Amanda Lieto as well. Madame Amanda, let's have you. If you're here, please kindly turn your video audio, or if you can raise your hand.
Thank you, Janet.
Thank you.
Hi, everyone. It's Amanda Vieto from Zimbabwe, as introduced before. I'm a PhD candidate at Africa University, and as a consortium of students, we came up to collaborate and have Lwazi Institute. So Lwazi translated just means knowledge. So with Lwazi Institute, we are seeking to be able to package research, knowledge, and also churn out new knowledge to be able to support development workers, communities, and businesses to achieve one agenda of transforming our society, transforming our countries. And that is essentially what we are doing from Zimbabwe. Thank you.
Can we have Madam Anna, if you're here, Anna? All right. I'm just going to go and zoom into discussion because that is very key to unlocking economic potential. I want to start with you, Madam Fat, unlocking Africa's economic potential. This can also go to all of us. If you have any ideas, you can put them in the chat box for us to read out, because this is
Janet.
as much a discussion to all of us. Hi.
Yeah, there is one of the panelists you haven't called, Madam Letitia.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. Oh, Madam Letitia. Sorry.
Hello, everybody.
Madam
Hi.
Letitia Beltran. Hi.
Yes. Good morning, everybody. Okay, so my name is Letitia Bertrand. I'm president of King's Arch Global, and I'm really delighted to be here with everybody today. My voice is a little bit hoarse because I've been at the AI World Conference in Amsterdam. So it was 2 days, 9 hours plus every day, packed with so much artificial intelligence information from brilliant minds all across the industry. But I'm delighted to be here. I made a point of making myself available for this session today because of how important job creation is for our youth. And I'm so thrilled by those who have organized this. Milton, a big kudos to you for organizing this. And for all those that have been a part of this session, those that are working in the background, the volunteers, the chairperson of this, Dia Benjamin's Lani. This is fantastic. I'm happy to be here, and I can't wait to share details on how we can progress job creation for youth in Africa. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Madam Letitia. Thank you so much. We'd like to delve into AI job creation later. And then honestly speaking, as a digital marketer, I want to know more about this as well. So we will come back to you. Thank you so much for making the time for joining this conference as well. We really appreciate you. So Madam Fatima, let's come to you. However, before that, if Madam Anna is here, please raise your hand. If Madam Anna, if you are here, kindly raise your hand so that we can duly acknowledge you as well. All right. Madam Fatima, I was asking a question, and I'm saying that this question goes to all of us as well, if we have ideas about it. This is a discussion we would all want to provide solutions to. What are the key challenges and opportunities in unlocking Africa's economic potential? Thank you.
Thank you for that question. I think this is a question we get asked for every day. First things first, I think as a continent, we need to stop this conversation of urban versus rural. most of the times, all the conversations and meetings that take place, whether by governments, conferences, events, they are always discussing things that are more relevant for people that sit in the urban part of the countries and forget the people in the rural. So when we talk about even just, talk about women or youth, you will always realize that the ideas or the proposals or the conversations that are taking place are always linked to people in the urban areas. So when you talk about gender pay, nobody's really talking about, we're talking about gender pay of women in, let's say, IT, or you're talking about women in accounts or engineering. Nobody's really talking about gender pay for a farmer, for example, who is the wife who's not being paid because she's toiling the land for her husband. So she's expected to do that. So there is already a discrepancy. So the first thing is that that's a challenge. We need to have conversations that really are honest, are impactful, and do not create the social divide, number one. Number two, we need to understand that when we keep talking about sustainability is not only about creating things for the next future generations. The most important is what we do on the agriculture side. How are we ensuring that we have food on our table for ourselves, for our children, and our children's children? So we need to find a way to make agriculture sexy. Right now, it's not sexy for the youth. And that's the reason we find a huge migration of people moving from the rural areas into the urban areas because they think the grass is greener on this side. Whereas we need to find ways of taking the older generation, the younger generation, and finding ways to download what the older generation has. And how can we get the youth who are more tech savvy, who are more into doing things that are very rapid and instantaneous, and merge the two to come up with solutions. I think I saw somewhere in the comments somebody say that, yes, we need to stop expecting a lot of things from government. I totally agree with you, because governments have their own agendas. A lot of times the stuff that governments do are not necessarily what citizens want. But like Anatu said, the role of government is to actually create the enabling environment. The rest and the onus is upon us. Another challenge that we need to talk about is poverty. And I'm not talking about poverty of having a naira or a dollar or a shilling in the pocket. I think the biggest challenge we have as Africans is poverty of mind. And we need to understand that if we do not deal with poverty of mind, poverty of knowledge, poverty of information, poverty of hope, then the poverty of creating wealth and success is not going to come. So we need to focus, and I'm glad Anato touched on that in terms of education, because a lot of education, advocacy, I'm not talking about 1 + 1 = 2. We've got to move to real practical things. I mean, if you look at even the stuff that we get taught in Africa to date, you go and look at the flyers or the books, it says A for apple, B for bat, S for snow. Please tell me how many African children in the rural areas and even in the urban have ever even got a chance to eat an apple or feel it or even know what an apple looks like. How many of them have ever seen snow or ever going to get the chance to see snow, right? So we need to start creating education or knowledge that is relevant first to us. We need to teach people what it means to sell in the Makola market or to go and sell in Ikoyi, make things that are so practical that people understand things that they can relate to and be able to see things from our perspective. Let's not start selling things that they do not even understand. That's why it becomes so unattainable. And that also then comes into the aspect, which is the biggest challenge that we have in terms of capability, is funds. The reason we don't get funding is because we've been told we've got to write proposals, we've got to write things in a certain manner, but you're writing it in a manner that those people understand who are giving you the money based on their economies, on their approaches to what they think as poverty. But if we were trained and we were able to get people to understand that you're going to write for a grant, you're going to write it from the perspective of our people. What are the things that are going to impact us, and how can we make sure that that is more sustainable and it works for generations to come? Then we change the way people think, we change the mindsets. Secondly, the other area we have a big opportunity is obviously the continent. We're 1.4 billion people. And Very much like Anatu, I'm a very simple person when it comes to wanting to do things. Sometimes it's very painful because you're like, why am I doing this? You know, I don't have to take care of everybody else. I have a child, take care of my child, and that's all I should look at. But it feels sad because you look at certain things that are so simple. We continue to be a continent that wants to depend on aid, depend on foreign monies coming in, focusing on export, not realizing that every time you send something out, that dollar is never coming back. We need to look at how can we maintain that 1 shilling, that 1 naira, rotate within the country. When we use, and I'm going to use the naira more because obviously of the audience being based in Nigeria. Think about it. When you're going to buy maize on the street, that money has rotated at least 8 to 9 times. When you're exporting that maize, you only get that money once and that's it. Now, why do I say 8 times? Because the person has to go to a farm, somebody's going to have to pick that. So it's exchanged hands. The farmer is going to have to get to a transporter who's going to bring it to the area, another one. The person who's going to now be the one who's going to be kept to roast the thing on charcoal is another. So before we know it, that money has moved within the system. So we need to move away from this perspective that everything has to go out for us to do it. Now, an example I'm going to give you is the cocoa industry, okay? 60% of the cocoa to the world is from Ivory Coast and Ghana. However, the people who make the most money or the only money in the 150 billion economy, I think we're only doing 10 billion, are people who don't even have a tree of cocoa, but they come and sell you the chocolates. They come and sell you, you know, through the companies. I don't want to name the companies, but they'll come and sell you drinking chocolates or whatever else it is. So I like to look at things from a simplistic perspective and say 1.4 billion people on this continent, okay? Why am I bringing this? Because I'm very, very passionate about this, specifically taking into account the European Union is going to be putting a legislation by 2025 that says they're not going to be procuring anything out of Africa that will not be having traceability. Traceability here means that they're not going to be able to trace where this cocoa came from, where this coffee came from, where did this yam come from. They want to know that this came in from Anatu and Anatu bought it from Fatima, Fatima bought it from Gabriel. Do you really think we have that money to be able? I mean, just talk about Ghana. Ghana, only 7% of the country has toilets. We're 62, 63 years old as a country. If in 63 years we were not able to build toilets, how are we going to say that we're now going to, in a year, forget the next 2 months, November or December already gone, you're talking about 2025. So we have 1 year to make sure we are able to put in systems for traceability, okay? We're not going to be able to do it. So what is going to happen? All of a sudden, the 60% that is supposed to be going out to sell to the world, to produce chocolates and cocoa, all of a sudden it's going to stop, okay? So obviously we should be panicking, we should be getting worked up because that's where we get our dependability from. My question then comes in, should we be worried or should we be looking at solutions? My solutions are this: 1.4 billion people on the continent, take away 50% because we've been told our continent, 50% of our people are children, and then say, okay, you're left out of the 1.4 billion, you're left with 700 million. Say 700 million, we've been told, oh, we are poor people, we are under $1 a day. Take 50% out of that, you're left with 300 million people, okay? Even if we said, is there a way that we make sure 350 million every morning wake up, just one day, once a day, 350 million people are able to drink 1 cup of hot chocolate or drinking chocolate or whatever it is, and they buy it, let's say, at 50 cents. That's $175 million per day, So can we understand when we say that we have the answers and the solutions on this continent, and this is something that we can do? It is our product. We have the mindset, we have the youth, we have the SMEs. What is stopping us to create and sell within the continent and earn $175 million a day, yet we go and we beg for 300 million, you know, for the year, when you're going to be able to get 300 million in 2 days. So I think our biggest challenge, and I continue to maintain that, is mindset. It is vision. We need to think differently. So I mean, we all know about the challenges, but I want to opportunities. And I'll give you another example. I talked about this 2 days ago at the Ghana Economic Forum. If anybody goes in online, look at Philippines right now, they're producing and selling leather made out of pineapple leaves and made out of banana, okay, banana peels. Here, but we buy bananas, we eat coffee brookman, we throw the peels, we don't care where it goes, whether it goes into the gutter, it goes into the soil or the trash, nobody cares. But somebody is making leather out of that. Go onto the internet, type Versace, type Gucci, type pineapple leather, type banana leather, and it's being sold for 7,000 euros, 30,000 euros. Are you trying to say that we can't be able to get this material and produce it locally and make our own leather and be able to get those international brands to come and buy it from us? So again, it goes back to mindset and looking at the glasses of opportunity. We need to stop crying as Africans. We need to stop expecting governments to come and do things for us. We need to stop expecting handouts. The solution is within us. And we need to start looking at collaboration. It doesn't mean Fatima can do everything. If one person, you have 5 friends, somebody is good in finance, somebody is good at production, somebody is good at marketing, another one is good at sales, come together, start collaborating and work together to be able to make that difference. I hope I've been able to answer some of that parts of that question.
Thank you very much. You have been able to say a lot of things. I mean, you spoke about we looking for greener pastures. The grass that is greener was watered by someone else. So let's water our grass so that it will be more greener for people to, for us to also enjoy and for people to also come. Then we can also start dictating the stakes. We need to stop the conversation of urban and rural issues. I mean, it's just too much. You want to like to compare stuff. Poverty of the mind, poverty of hope is very, very real. And I actually appreciate the fact that you said we need, from the educational aspect, we need to move to real practical things and create education and knowledge relevant and relatable issues to our society. And per your statistics you just gave from your talk, your speech at the World Economic Forum, if we are able to purchase cocoa products, we can generate an amount of money in 2 days that we go and borrow to come and help our economy. Africans, we need to rise, because indeed this is a wake-up call. We need to do a lot of things, and I am being challenged today. I'm doing stuff, but I feel I need to do more. We need to do more. We need to collaborate more and stop this issue of trust. And I have trust issues with Kenyans. I have trust issues with Nigerians. I have trust. Everybody has trust issues everywhere, and not everybody is a saint. However, when we take these risks, we are able to also come together and provide the solutions needed to develop our continent. Thank you very much for that, Madam Fatima. Now, I want to come to Amanda. Amanda, how can we African countries leverage on our natural resources for sustainable economic development? Amanda, if you are here, let's have you. How can African countries leverage on our natural resources sustainably for economic development? Thank you. Amanda, if you are here, you have the floor.
Thank you, Janet. Janet, I must say, I think you're a prophetess because currently I'm working on a project on extractors. And it's such a very interesting time and question that you have given me. So I'll give you an example of my country, Zimbabwe. Zimbabwe is endowed with a number of minerals, right? And this mineral wealth has kind of brought some new hope in terms of economic opportunities. However, there are some contestations about who is accessing what, in what quantities, who has easier access to what, who has political connections and mileage to be able to benefit a bit more from our natural resources. So in the communities that I'm actually working with during the course of this week, I've seen that there's not much will from the government to implement responsible resource extraction, if I can put it that way. So you find that our mining is not just going to happen alone. Mining is done within environments, and environments need protection. So you. Hello?
That was a
Can you
mistake.
hear me?
Please continue.
Okay, good. So I was saying mining is done in an environment that has people who have livelihoods, right? People who have livelihoods sometimes dependent upon agriculture, right? In that same environment, right, people are polluting because they're practicing mining, right? So what governments probably also need to look at is to say, how do we educate, right, artisanal miners by also probably regulating them in a manner in which that they are responsible for their actions. Once they actually have dug up, whatever shaft they are working on, they need to be able to restore the environment in a manner that ensures that livestock is not in danger, that human beings are not in danger, because here we have cases of livestock, falling in certain pits and people are losing money. Essentially, livestock is money, is a source of wealth for African communities. So that kind of, policy or implementation and having a budget for it, because now when you go to different government offices, they will tell you that we do understand and we do acknowledge the need for that, but we do not have a budget for it. So there's also need to prioritize at a budget level and advocate at a budget level to say we need to be able to be responsible and sustainable in the way in which we manage our natural resources. I'll also talk about another phenomenon that has been experienced in my part of the continent, is the issue of influx of Chinese companies coming to extract. So it's a two-way thing when you want to view how to be able to leverage, our natural resources to be able to actually support economies. If somebody is not given a set of instructions, right? If somebody is not given a rule of engagement to say, if you're to come in my community, I need certain things to happen. I need certain value addition, for example, and diversification of whatever products you're going to mine in my community in a way that creates employment and makes sure that the young people in any community get to benefit from what you're doing, then we are missing out on what we have. So it's not entirely their fault, but it's also our fault in terms of us not wanting to come to the table and say to these people, this is our rule of engagement. We have an environment, we have trees, we have communities that are benefiting from agriculture. So if you want to work with us in this particular industry, we need you to adhere to the following. We need you to be able to build following infrastructure that can benefit our communities. So also you find in some parts of the country, chrome is being mined, but they actually prefer exporting, the big rocks, right? So now challenges are coming in, through society and engagement and advocacy to say, you know what, let's refine it, let's process it. So the more they begin to process it, the more young people are now involved, to be part of the value chain and also to have job creation, if I can put it that way. So there's also need when you're looking at sustainable use of our natural resources, agriculture. It's a very interesting sector for Zimbabwe. I'll tell you this, during COVID-19, right, just before COVID and into COVID-19 pandemic, our economy was affected. Okay, it has been struggling for a very long time. However, the impact was so huge that so many people lost their jobs. So what happened is that agriculture managed to absorb a lot of people into the sector, and people are now working in agriculture. So now with the influx of young people having an interest in agriculture, it has become an alternative in terms of job creation in my country. However, we need to be able to say now with people or young people practicing agriculture, what sustainable agricultural or forestry methods we can have that ensure that there's conservation of soils, there's water management, biodiversity preservation, certain such things, right? And then also on the part of the smallholder farmers, because somebody probably was a banker and is trying to explore another option to survive. So how then do we train them? And also, I think the introduction of modern technologies when it comes to, smallholder farmers, such that they just don't, do what they're used to, but they can also kind of increase production, learn new methods, learn how to, even learn climate change and learn, which kind of crops are suitable for certain regions or suitable for certain seasons, such that also there's also guaranteed food security at household and community level. In terms of also something that I can also think of is the aspect of, I think, green energies, because green energy is also a natural resource that African governments can be able to, tap into and ensure sustainability, and the abundance of green energy, be it wind. In some areas here where I am right now, they are harnessing the wind to be able to power boreholes in communities. So with governments actually having political will and having to set aside prioritizing budgets around things or issues that to do with sustainability, that are to do with transforming livelihoods and communities, I think there's also a potential to drive towards, investing in energy, for example, making it accessible to rural communities, finding other methods of payment. I'll tell you, for example, in Zimbabwe, we had a time where things were so difficult and money was not in circulation, to the extent that schools actually started to have animal husbandry projects funded, not funded, but then resourced by communities paying school fees. So I could take my 2 goats and say, these are my 2 goats worth of school fees for my child, and these I'm going to give to the school, and my child can be admitted. So certain things to work with, what do rural communities have, and then also providing them with, alternative sources of energy, such that we are more inclined to use renewable energy, be it in agriculture, or all those, smallholder miners, or artisanal miners. They can also start, adopting green energy. And then lastly, I think I can talk about issues of transparency when it comes to managing natural resources. It has always been a challenge because it seems some are privy to information and some of us are not. So the moment that things are not transparent, how then do we know how much we are deriving as a country from our natural resource? I'll tell you, for example, when our country issues out to say we have exported a certain tonnage of gold, there are contestations because reports are varying. Some is saying, no, it's not the real figure. Some are saying, well, they have, kind of underreported. So now this brings conflicts, right? Even in communities, because there's no transparency to say, what is government actually doing, with the, funds or, revenues from natural resources. So there is need for us to have a very accountable and equitable, system that ensures that, even our natural resource reserves, even the ordinary person should be able to know, to say, where are we and what are the future projections, such that it is very clear and, we can actually even deal with issues of corruption. And this could also be a point of engagement with external investors who are coming into our communities, to actually extract or take part in using some of our natural resources. And the issues also around legal issues or regulatory framework around natural resources is a very much contested issue in my country and some parts of Southern Africa. And now that also kind of motivates or facilitates the illicit flows of, resources. I'm sure some of you have watched a documentary on my country showing how much illicit flows our economy is bleeding, and suffering from. And these resources, when one sits down and looks at, how much we've lost, it is just because the way in which we're managing our natural resources is not sustainable, and it is not, governed in a way that has a robust legal system or framework that tells people where to start and where to end, such that all stakeholders who are going to come in the areas of natural resources know where to start end to end. And lastly, probably a bit of research and innovation. From what I'm seeing, there's continuous need I'm biased towards that because I'm in academia. So I think the relevance of us as academia also is to come in and produce research and results that can be used by both communities and government and different stakeholders, even companies, to say, okay, with the amount of gold, the tonnage of gold, it means there's potential, to bankroll certain industries. For example, our manufacturing industry is as good as dormant for the past 2 or so decades. And for us to bankroll manufacturing, even for us to bankroll our participation in the AFCFTA, we need certain, billions of dollars. They are available. So now when you have a system that says, okay, from the natural resources, we can now be able to diversify our economy and bankroll certain industries. And the ripple effect is more young people are actually employed, and then quality of life improves. I think that government also needs to know that when young people are employed, they are benefiting the most because we're going to pay our taxes. So we have what we call pay as you earn in Zimbabwe. So it means that all these young people who are employed are also going to, have remittances of pay as you earn to the government, which means the government keeps on making money, but needs to be more strategic and deliberate in terms of how do we leverage our natural resources in a sustainable manner. Also in Zimbabwe, another interesting thing is they've said there's oil reserves. So we need to also, challenge and also suggest to the government to say, once there's oil, this is the potential oil has. We need to also be able to create jobs. We need to be able to actually export, finished products instead of just crude oil, right? So these are some of the things that come to mind, Janet. Sorry, it's an area of, study currently, and I'm so excited about it. Thank you.
No problem at all, Amanda. I was enjoying the conversation. I love it. I'm also in academia, so sometimes I understand how we tend to tilt towards our areas of study and expertise. But thank you very much for that. I love what you said. Yes, I really enjoy it. And I also want to appreciate and acknowledge Madam Fatima Ali Mohammed one more time for her enormous contribution to this panel discussion. She has another meeting. She is very busy, but she's been able to make the time. I want to say a very big thank you to you, Madam Fatima, and then we will get in touch with you soon. I will get in touch. Everybody should get in touch with her. Thank you, Tribe Africa, for organizing this. We want to say a very big thank you, and that would be your cue. And if I see from the chat, I see Eleanor Okroma saying that a global citizen well-versed in volunteer management. And Solomon Alido is saying powerful insights so far. And so I'm actually enjoying it. I can't read all the chats. And I want to come to Madam Leticia. Madam Leticia, if you want to ask you some few questions on technology, AI as well.
I am here.
We want
Hi.
to explain. Oh, you are here.
Yes.
That's nice. That's very great. How can technology and innovation be leveraged to create more jobs and improve employment opportunities in Africa? How can
Absolutely.
technology and innovation be leveraged to create more jobs and improve employment opportunities in Africa? And I'm taking notes, so you can take your time. Thank you. You have the
Absolutely.
floor.
Thank you so much, Janet, and thank you everybody for being here today. I'm really excited to be at this forum today. Before we start, I'd like to share my screen on AI Do No Harm, if you guys don't mind. Of course, guys and ladies, I do apologize.
The Artificial Intelligence Do No Harm is a set of principles that guide the development and use of artificial intelligence. The goal of this philosophy is to ensure that AI is used in a way that does not cause harm to humans or other living beings. This is no doubt a complex and challenging issue, but it is one that is essential to ensuring that AI is used for good. By following the principles of AI Do No Harm, we can help to create a future where AI is a force for positive change. Please use AI responsibly as you navigate these very powerful language models. Thank you and enjoy this AI awareness session with Letitia Bertrand.
Okay, so that's my public service announcement for the day. And so, like I said, I just came back from Amsterdam, where we discussed new innovations from artificial intelligence. How can we use AI in creating jobs for our youth? So first of all, let me give a little bit of background about myself. I'm originally Nigerian, but I've been gone from Nigeria for close to 30 years, been in corporate America during the entire time. And then I actually came back to Nigeria in 2021 to retire. And when I came back, I realized there's still so much work to be done. So I got out of that mode, went back to school to study artificial intelligence at the University of Oxford. And my goal now is to train 100 million Africans in artificial intelligence, starting first with Nigeria. Of course, Ghana, Kenya, and all those represented within our African continent. So we're going to get there one step at a time, utilizing different platforms. So the main idea is to get people to become aware of the potential for building economies, first by strengthening skills in technology, specifically artificial intelligence. With this, we can build the skills, have people create jobs, build stronger communities, build stronger economies, raise our GDPs, and raise our status from third world, as they call us, to first world status. And I believe that we can do this within a really fast period, a short period, because of artificial intelligence, because it's able to even the playing field for us as a continent. So first, let me start by, and by the way, I'm going to have another session tomorrow where we're going to go into a deeper dive into artificial intelligence. But let me just start by referencing what artificial intelligence is to everybody. Artificial intelligence is a branch of computer science that focuses on creating intelligent machines that are capable of simulating and imitating human intelligence. Artificial intelligence systems can perform tasks that typically require human intelligence, such as understanding natural language, recognizing patterns, making decisions, and learning from experience. If you have a cell phone, you have used artificial intelligence. If you have Siri, if you have Google, you have used artificial intelligence. It's just that they don't call these anymore artificial intelligence. They're just the apps or the products. But we are in constant contact with artificial intelligence. So tomorrow we're going to take a deeper dive into artificial intelligence, machine learning, neural networks, and how nations are going to be transformed by the application of artificial intelligence. My goal is to help us become more aware, more comfortable with artificial intelligence. It's not going away. A few leaders have asked for implementation or research into artificial intelligence to be paused, to stop. We all know that's not going to happen. It's already out of the cage and we just have to keep moving. So first of all, I want to talk about the impact of artificial intelligence to businesses, and also what happens if we choose not to embrace it or if we choose not to innovate. So the cost of ignoring AI innovation. Let's talk about the loss of competitive advantage. Already, if you're an organization, currently you have a business or you're thinking of having a business, and you're not thinking about incorporating AI from the scratch or rebuilding your internal networks to accommodate artificial intelligence, very soon you're going to find out you're going to lose competitive advantage. So that is one big area. And then also missed business opportunities. If you, for instance, are running a business right now without incorporating artificial intelligence, of course, your competitors are going to be way ahead of you. So we need to start to incorporate, become more familiar with the building blocks of artificial intelligence and where we need to go to get ready. The other one is the lack of creation of new products and services. With artificial intelligence, it magnifies exponentially the options that are there in creating businesses, in creating new products, in creating new services. Then, of course, there is a pricing disadvantage without AI innovation. So if you are going to compete on the global scale, you've got to know how to use innovation to scale and to reprice so that you stay competitive. The other one is inefficient and outdated technologies. We're moving forward. We're moving ahead. We've got to stay aware. We've got to stay updated. And that's why I spent so much money, took a lot out of my time and my schedule to be in Amsterdam so that I can update. In my mind, even though I'm going to University of Oxford, it's still not enough. You still have to go out there and find out and research and educate yourself and inform yourself on current technologies. As a continent, we cannot afford to take a backseat anymore on technology, because technology is what is going to drive our progression to first world status. So we're going to need everybody on board. And then also there's a risk of reputational damage if the rest of the world is pursuing AI innovation and we're taking a back seat. We can't do that anymore. There is also the impact on client and employee retention without AI innovation. So I'm going to stop here for now so that the rest of the panelists can speak, but I'll get back on this topic later on in a day.
All right, thank you very much. In fact, I will come back to you on that as well. Amanda, let's come back to you. Today has been very insightful. I wish we wouldn't end that for work and other stuff. Amanda, what are some successful examples of collaboration for job creation in Africa, and what can we learn from them? What are some successful examples of collaboration? I mean, before you come in that, this year I was able to collaborate with people across Africa, South Africa, Malawi, Zimbabwe, Zambia, on the International Youth Day. We wanted to come together to look at how we can provide solutions as youth on the challenges we are facing on the African continent. And trust me, all you have to do is to just reach out to someone. That is what I think. All you have to do is just reach out to someone, or reach out to someone who knows someone. Just reach out to someone. Okay, whilst we wait for Amanda, we can also come up with ways we think that we can actually just reach out to someone. Reaching out is not a risk, could be a risk, but it's not that much of a risk at all. If they say no, you can reach out to someone else. That is what I did. And currently we have another collaboration coming up from Madagascar and South Africa, because we reached out. How can the youth of Africa create jobs? First of all, right now we are having an e-commerce platform on how people in the informal sector can actually market their goods, being in their country and then marketing their goods across the country for someone in Madagascar to be able to market their goods for someone in Morocco, Ghana, Nigeria, Togo. These are some of the things we are doing. And if you are afraid to reach out, just go through someone and then you're going to get what you want. Just reach out to someone. That is all I can say. Reach out to someone, reach out to somebody there. And I want to state something that Madam Anatu said on a podcast on African development. She says, Africa has actually never sat down to carve a strategy for itself. That is why we are facing the challenges we are facing today. And I love it so much. And I also love something that Madam Fatima said. She said, we can't be thinking about nationalities anymore in Africa. I am a Nigerian and I'm Guinean and I am Kenyan and I'm Rwandan. It's not about that anymore. It's about coming together to make the continent more thriving. And I don't understand why some Africans think that anything coming from a foreign country is second to none. Africa also has what it takes. I mean, when it comes to trade, the principle of standardization has actually limited us. That is why I appreciate the fact that Madam Anna just touched on as producing quality goods. If the goods are not quality, people in the foreign world will not accept them, because principle of standardization has already limited us in that regard. So let's try to also come up with quality goods, so that they will help us. In that regard, Letitia, whilst you are still here, we want to know how we can navigate the future with AI. How can we navigate the future with AI, especially looking at the solution we have? Thank you. Madam Leticia, hi. We want to know how we can navigate the future with AI. How can we navigate the future with AI? The future of employment, the future of trade, the future of anything with AI. Thank you.
Oh, thank you very much for that. I do apologize for that delay. So it's immense. So the future is actually here and now, because AI is affecting every aspect of our lives, including the barista who makes our coffee. AI is going to affect their lives as well. AI is going to affect agriculture. AI is going to affect, it is already affecting education. Of course, there are so many people now that are using open AI sources in doing their schoolwork. So educational institutions will need to figure out how to pivot for the future of education. Things are changing. Old traditional ways of conducting things are going to go away. They're going to be replaced by the new innovations that have already started. So in the area of aviation or in self-driving cars, AI is going to impact our future. Name it, they are impacting everything. Just teaching machines on how to behave like human beings and making decisions. But the only thing I want to say is AI, at least I am a proponent of this, AI innovation is not supposed to replace human beings. So in other words, I don't want to foresee a future where human beings are relegated to the background. We're still going to have human oversight. We're still going to need human beings for final decision making. We're not going to have a situation or an existence where machines take over. So a lot of people are afraid of that. And we've walked on the streets of Oxford asking people, what do you think of AI? What does AI mean to you? For a lot of people, it's a scary scenario because they're constantly looking at the viral videos, and they're mostly negative. I choose not to use my platform for those negatives because there's so many positive things that are coming within the area of healthcare. For instance, AI is able to detect diseases that would take months and sometimes years for human beings to figure out. So it means that we're going to be able to live longer. That means also that we're going to need to create wealth for ourselves and for our upcoming generations. Hence why this platform, this forum, this discussion that we're having right now is essential. Our wealth needs to outlive us because we're going to live longer. So in every areas in science, we're not even talking about quantum computing, which AI or, that technology is going to be able to, for instance, figure out solutions that would have taken 47 years in just a few hours. So there are amazing things in the pipeline. There are amazing things that are already happening. one of the panelists 2 days ago in Amsterdam was talking about how with AI, they can actually transfer somebody's experiences to another human being. So transfer experiences from one person's brain to another person's brain. How does this work? How does it affect us? Well, it looks creepy, it sounds creepy, but look at it this way. It's for science. Imagine somebody who's had strokes or who's had developmental issues, and then they can now, and they're missing neurons or cells that have died and they cannot be replaced. So now they can take experiences that are lacking in one and transfer it to the other person. There's technology now that can allow the reading of minds so that amputees or people without limbs or missing limbs can actually, with their thoughts, move their limbs using robotics and artificial intelligence. So I'll talk more on this later. Thank you, Janet.
Thank you very much, Madam Letitia. We will indeed talk more on this. I have enjoyed every bit of this discussion. If you have, I want to see some exciting emojis. Show me your best emoji, please. Show me your best emoji. This is wild from Christopher, transferring the experience. That would be so much helpful in medicine and counseling. Show me your favorite emojis if you have enjoyed this session. I have. So I'm going to show you my favorite emoji, and it is fire. I really love it. I really, really love it. I am enjoying this every step of the way, every step of the way. And I want to really, really appreciate and acknowledge Social Innovation Africa and Tribe Africa for organizing this. And I am amazed at this as well. And before I call you in Tribe Africa, I want to say a very big thank you to all participants. You have done great. And please don't always look out for the office works and all of that. They are great. Look within yourself. We are trying to create jobs. You know, in as much as you can be an employee, you can also be an employer. Look within yourself. All the qualities you think you possess, jot them down. Look at how you can generate trust. I'm a consultant, so I know what I'm. So Tribe Africa, please let's have you, Tribe Africa. It's been wonderful moderating this, and I wish I was there for the in-person session tomorrow. But I will be joining from Accra again. Tribe Africa.
Thank you so much.
You.
Thank you so much, Janet. Please, audience,
Thank you, Blessed.
Can you join me to give a shout out to Janet for moderating this session, and to all our amazing speakers. Thank you, Letitia, Amanda. Thank you, Fatima. Everyone who has spoken have done a great job. I'm so excited. Thank you, Janet. You did an amazing job moderating the speakers, and it was value-packed. By now, I think someone is dancing, not just jumping, not just shouting, because this is mind-blowing. And I'm sure someone has taken notes, have written action steps, and is ready to put in the work. Thank you so much. We have almost come to the end of this program. We're just in the last session, and there's the saying that goes, the best is reserved for the last. If you've gotten back-to-back value and back-to-back and back and back value, then we are going to be having the last session. And I'm really excited that respected and kept to time. And this really shows how these persons value not just the content they are coming to share, but also your time. And we are really sticking to the assigned time, and we're just within the range, and I'm really excited about that. So if you have questions, please quickly drop it in the chat session, because we would have our final session, which is the fireside chat with Letitia, and where she would delve right into the artificial intelligence more. and get to answer more questions. I think she also have a good surprise for us in terms of opportunities. She had mentioned that at the start of her interaction, but I think there's another juicy secret that would come as an opportunity for all of us who have also stayed through this interaction. So if you have questions, please drop it in the chat session. And I can't see questions here. I can only see appreciations, and I'm sure that all of these is because our speakers have almost answered all our questions, right? Can I get a yes in the chat session? Yes, is there a yes in the chat session? All our speakers have done an amazing job, right? I need yes. I want like 20 yeses. Yes, I've gotten 3. Yes, I've gotten wonderful session. Okay, yes, I can get, it's not up to 20. I need more. Yes, I can see, yes. Okon say yes, Solomon say yes, and yes. Yes, thank you so much. Someone has asked, how can one leverage on AI and grow agriculture? Thank you so much, Peter, for that question. We'll be having Latisha back as a fireside chat session where she will be delving more into that topic. And then we are going to combine that question and she's going to profile solution. And like I said, this is the last session for today. And if you've come this far, then you are ready to take the best out of all we have put together here for you. Someone say, please, can participants be trained in the most selling skills? Okay. And if possible, if your question is directed specifically to a particular speaker, you can indicate, or if you just want any speaker to respond to that question, you can also just indicate. So currently I can see 2 questions here, one from Peter and one from Ameshi, right? So please just keep throwing in the questions. We're going to compile it, and especially for the questions that pertains to AI, Letitia will be available and she's here to respond. So please, Madam Letitia, please confirm that you are still here and you are ready to kick on the fireside chats.
I sure am.
Oh.
So are you going to have the questions answered first by the rest of the panelists before we go to the fireside chat? Okay, so let's do that and then we'll go to the fireside chat.
Yeah, thank you so much. I wanted to confirm that you are still available. So the first question I think is to you, Madam Letitia, saying how can one leverage on AI and grow agriculture?
All right, thank you so much for that question. So right now, as the initial speaker, Anatu, talked about, we're importing food as a continent. We should really be exporting a lot of food. I go to Nigeria sometimes and I see peanut butter that's developed or manufactured outside the country being shipped in here and sold in our stores 5 times as much as you would get it outside the country. And I wonder what happened to our peanuts pyramids that we used to have not too long ago. And we have a lot of human and natural resources that can facilitate the growth of agriculture. That sector needs to be developed by technology, and AI is doing a lot in that area as well. Because if you cannot feed yourself as a nation, if we cannot feed ourselves as a continent, we have a huge problem. Then we have to rely on the outside for sustenance. That is a problem when maybe there are conflicts in certain regions and then our food supply is at risk. And what happens when the food supply is at risk? Of course, you all know the answer to that. So there are lots of variables. There are lots of consequences that could arise as a result of us not paying attention to this part of our economy. So AI is working towards enhancing what we currently have in terms of teaching people about the soil relevance, teaching people about, drones technology, using drones, using robotics to water our soil, to prepare our soil for agricultural development. So all of these are areas that our people here can go into in terms of researching for job creation, for job provision, for job growth. Is a booming area, is a big area. And if you go into this area, you can't go wrong at all. So if you can, as a young person, start developing your skills in this area, I can't remember who said it at the beginning, that we now have to pay attention to the classes that we take in school, the courses that we register for, the education that we invest in has to have relevance. It has to have relevance. No more fluff. No more fluff. It has to be education that leads somewhere, that can create jobs, that can improve communities and raise awareness as well. Thank you, Blessing. Over to you. Hello, it looks like Blessing, you're still muted. But while you're muted, I can go on to talk about other areas within artificial intelligence and how we can leverage artificial intelligence in business, in being able to provide insights and decision making, enhancing the process of decision making, in automating tasks and improving the customer experience. So by a show of hands or comments in the comment section, who within this platform thinks that artificial intelligence will drastically influence the customer experience, customer service? Who here thinks that artificial intelligence will influence that aspect of our lives? All right, so I can tell you right away, during one of our case studies, Spotify was asked if their customer service department was going to be affected by artificial intelligence. And the answer they gave wasn't a negative, that it was not. But a week later, they had gotten rid of all of their customer service department and replaced them with chatbots. Wow. So there are several areas, and I'm going to do a deeper dive into these areas that are going to be affected by artificial intelligence or technological innovation. So if you're in this area, or if you're in these areas and you're thinking about going into these areas, perhaps it is time to pivot, to figure out new solutions, new ideas, new ways that you can build your skills and build the communities around you. All right, Blessing, are you back on?
Yes, thank you so much for stepping in. I was speaking, I didn't even know I was still muted. Thank you so much. I wanted to ask a second question I saw in the chat session. Someone was saying that if one can be trained in the relevant skills available, but I think I wanted to find out if Madam Anne is still on the call and if Madam Amanda is still on the call, because I wanted to direct the question to them. So I wanted to confirm, please, Ma'am Amanda, are you still on the call? Okay, what of Ma'am Anna? All right, I guess on the call. So, Ma'am Letitia, I think you will take the other few questions remaining, and then we'll delve into the fireside chat since it's still related to your session. The final.
Hello.
Hi.
Okay, Sanatu.
Oh, okay. Thank you, Ma'am. Anatu, okay, you are still on the call, ma'am. Thank you so much. I think I should ask you this question since it's also your area. Someone was asking if they can, what are the selling skill sets available? I think I will help person reframe the question so you can do a better job at answering it. So the person was asking if they can be trained on selling skills, but I think I would rather rephrase the question to say, what are the recommended selling skills that you can point this young African to, and then they can begin to learn and grow in them?
Okay, I think it's quite extensive. And so I would suggest make some titles suggested and they can share with him.
Okay.
I'll do that over the weekend and send to you.
All right.
And then just to share. If I'll send a set of skills that are in demand.
Okay.
And I'll share it with everybody on the mailing list.
Amazing. Thank you so much, ma'am. I think that's so great. So, ma'am Latisha, I think we would move straight to your session, which is the fireside chat, which will also answer the remaining artificial intelligence question asked, which is just one I can see for now. And I want to confirm that you're ready to go for the fireside chat. The topic for the fireside chat says artificial intelligence and job creation in Africa. So it's just straight to you. First of all, I would want to take it from the point of view. What inspired you to go through this whole story? I know you talked about retiring and going back to do AI, but what, apart from the passion of creating job, what is your story that made you even start in that place to choose AI as a next go-to skill to learn before building upon what you are already building up? So it's over to you, Ma'am Latisha, and we hope that you answer the question how artificial intelligence and job creation can be created in Africa. Ma'am Latisha. Hello? Can someone confirm they can hear me so that I'm sure it's not from my end?
I can hear you. Network logged out.
Oh, okay. Okay, all right. I'm sure she'll be back. Okay. Well, Madam Anatu, are you still here? Let me back. All right, thank you so much. So first of all, like I want to re-emphasize my appreciation for working closely with the Tribe Africa to put this together, right? So I will just throw a quick question to you while we are buying time for Madam Latisha to come back. And the question is, while you were sharing your presentation, you talked about the problem, you talked about solution. As a young person who joined the call, right, what would you recommend as the first step for them to start living after dropping off this call? Because oftentimes we talk about those solutions, we talk about the whole mindset change, we talk about being intentional, taking responsibility, but sometimes it becomes too much that one cannot streamline to say, okay, this is number 1, 2, 3, at least steps I can take after dropping off. So what would you recommend as the 1, 2, and 3 steps that someone on this call can take as the practical step towards becoming a better citizen and becoming an innovator?
Okay, that's a very good and pertinent question. The first one is to get more training.
Okay.
Underskilled as a continent when it comes to business, when it comes to, the areas that matter, when it comes to trade, when it comes to factories, when it comes to negotiations, when it comes to value addition, when it comes to, all those things. So the first thing is to recognize that and to sign up for more training or courses, or if we have to take another degree or whatever it is, because that will set you on the path to becoming that person. Where you are in demand, whether it's a service or whether it's you're in demand all over the world. So the people who are in demand, the people who are always breaking through, the people who are acing every interview, they've studied for it, they've learned or they've trained for it. It didn't just happen like that, right? Or if they've gone to add on. So for instance, if you and I go for an interview and you have AI, you have Internet of Things, you have so many other skills, as opposed to maybe myself who just maybe has the agriculture degree or whatever it is, definitely you get it. Everybody's looking for a more rounded person who can take the organization forward. So I want Africans to realize that there's a problem with skills. When you look at populations like the Indians and Japanese, they do not have a problem when they want to get a working visa to go abroad. But because we are underskilled, that is also part of the reason why many people don't want us in the country. Like, I'm not a fan of migration, etc., but being realistic. So whether it is here or it is South Africa you want to move to, or anywhere you want to go, if you train as much as possible, both the practical and the physical, and you learn and you study, you always stand a good chance of being able to ace a job. So that's the first thing I will, The second thing is to realize that perhaps the way, and this should happen to everybody, not just we in Africa, and we have to critically continue to examine how we think in our culture. Things that have been not been open, we have not been open to, right? Things that we have not explored yet, things that we have assumed, and life is about creating opportunities. It's about dropping certain illusions to adopt other ones. So be very open. Join societies, join networks. Many of us, we are just there. There are all kinds of networks, global networks we can travel to, we can be part of, you understand, who are doing very interesting things. For instance, I'm a kid, I belong to a group, and we meet in the evenings and we just talk about innovations, what's happening in space, blah, blah, blah. We have competitions, we travel, we have this, that, and the other. And so I'm setting up an astronomy club, which is also another source of income for me, because it's about STEM, again, it's about STEM and women, if you look at astronomy and stuff like that. And these are areas that you don't find a lot of Africans doing. And so you find that place is close to us. The less you explore, and the less please tell me when Letitia is back, so I'll stop rambling. The less you explore, the less you expose yourself, then the more limited you are in your time. So we made this thing as if it's a spiritual thing. If a special grace comes upon you, then you get opportunity, so you get doors open. No, it's what you say, it's what you represent, it's what you have to give. So let us stop closing ourselves off to these opportunities. I mentor a lot of, I run incubators, and and I talk to entrepreneurs, and I'm surprised that even very successful ones, especially African ones, that they don't know certain things. They don't know that ESG is the trending thing on the continent. They don't know that eco-friendly, green business or climate, are the top things to also, So these are things that we need to pick up and become more rounded people. For me, I always say that I give an example as Obama. If Obama had not picked up and wasn't a certain kind of rounded individual, nobody would have given him, of course, we always attribute those things to grace and all those kind of things. And I'm not denying that maybe on some level, but generally speaking, I actually do believe that the difference between me and you is how far we study, how far we expose ourselves, how far we open ourselves to all kinds of things. I don't believe that. I believe that God created all of us with equal opportunity. We are created with specific talents, yes, but depending on how far you go. And that's why even Jesus said, parable of the talents. And I know in Islam as well, there is all those, that what you have and how you use it and how far you go and who you marry. And so everything, you see, we have to plan our lives. It doesn't just happen like that.
All right. Yeah. Thank you so much, Natu. Letitia is back. So thank you so much. I'm really grateful, and I'm sure someone got that value. So Letitia, it's good to have you back. And I don't know if you got my question before you dropped off, but it's now time for the fireside chat. And part of what I'd said is, I know you're going to be talking to us about how artificial intelligence can create job opportunities in Africa. But I also chipped in to say, what made you choose artificial intelligence as the solution for the future? And we hope that you'll be able to tell us all of that joining and opportunities in wrapping for your session. It's over to you, ma'am.
Okay, thank you so much. Sorry about that interruption. As you guys know, I'm in between continents. I flew from Amsterdam yesterday to London, so I'm in between places. But I do apologize for that once again. I want to know really quickly, how long is this session, this fireside session, gonna last? Because I know we've gone a little bit over. So in respect of other people's time. Of course, I'll be back tomorrow. So if you have time tomorrow, join us tomorrow. But let me know, Blessing, as the moderator, how long do we have for the session?
15 minutes, ma'am. Can you hear me? Hello, it's 15 minutes. I don't know if you can hear me, ma'am.
15 minutes. Okay, got that. All right. So what led me into
Hello, I think her network has. Are you back, ma'am?
I'm okay. It's okay. What
All
led me,
right.
if it goes off, I'll come back on. I'm back on now. So if it
All right.
goes on off, I'll come back on. Just exercise a little bit of patience, everybody. Do apologize. So what led me into artificial intelligence is this. I figured that the problems that we have as a continent can be resolved with technology. Us to embrace technology. I believe that technology can even the playing field, especially artificial intelligence. Think about it this way. If you drive a car that is stick shift and somebody else has the opportunity to give you a car that is automatic, then you don't need to know about, it's just put it on drive and it does it for you. Going backwards, it just keeps moving forward. That's what I think artificial intelligence is going to do for us, automatic. So if we can embrace this as a continent, I think that we can actually move past nations that are developed. Because like I said, when I walked through the streets of Oxford, myself and my cohorts at the University of Oxford studying artificial intelligence, and we asked people what they thought about artificial intelligence, you would have thought that they would know everything about artificial intelligence, but that wasn't the case at all. So it's not just here that we have gaps in the knowledge about this new, well, it's not new technology. Tomorrow we're going to talk about how it started and how it's developed over time. Even in countries that are developed in America, there are still gaps in the knowledge. So we have to build on the fact that there are knowledge gaps in this area, in these developed parts of the world. And so if we can now bridge some of these gaps, if we can learn the information that we need to progress within this area of technology, we're going to be able to accelerate our progression a lot faster. So that's the reason why I went into artificial intelligence, Blessing. And we could talk more as you ask more questions.
All right, amazing. So thank you so much. I think I would rather just pick one particular question I saw about artificial intelligence here and channel it for the last question I will ask you today. Someone, it was very specific with their question, and they say, how can I use AI as an advantage for marketing and branding? I think this is very specific, and I think using a specific niche to profile the solution and answer would also help the audience to find relatable answers to what you are saying. So it's over to you, ma'am.
Okay, so you broke up a little bit. You said the person asked about how they could use AI in branding. Was that what you said?
Branding, yes.
Branding, I'm taking it in marketing and promoting their business and in putting together a vision for their organization. So there are building blocks with artificial intelligence, with this technology. It's not something that you just rush into. You have to be prepared for it. There's something I call AI readiness, and it refers to the state of preparedness of your organization in successfully adopting and adapting or leveraging artificial intelligence. It involves assessing and developing various aspects within your organization to enable the effective implementation and utilization of AI solutions. I call these the building blocks of artificial intelligence. And these are the foundational components and techniques that are used to develop and implement artificial intelligence systems. These building blocks, much like if you're in marketing and if you're in branding, you know already about the hierarchy of needs by Abraham Maslow. He's got this pyramid talking about the hierarchy of needs, the human development from our basic needs to the general needs of having a roof over our heads, food, and then also the final is where you get to self-actualization. So if you can conceptualize that pyramid and then put in instead AI building blocks, where you're talking about developing the skills for creating algorithms, for instance, in building machines that create the solutions that we have today, in making sure that your data is ready. Without data, you cannot go into artificial intelligence. So these are all the things that you have to put into consideration while thinking about the branding for your organization. These building blocks for artificial intelligence will form the basis for creating intelligent systems that can learn, reason, and make decisions. So if you go on my LinkedIn page, and I shared my LinkedIn profile within the chat room before I got kicked out earlier. If you go there to my LinkedIn page, you see a little video that I took of me and the Boston Dynamics robotics dog named Spot. So these are kinds of types of robotics engineered through AI that organizations can utilize. If you are going into that area, then that needs to form your building blocks. So if you're already utilizing artificial intelligence within your organization and you're just ramping up, scaling it, or making it more generalized within your organization, then you still have to look at these building blocks. If you've never had anything to do with artificial intelligence at all, you still need to look at these building blocks. So in branding your organization, you need to know where you're going, and then you need to know the formative steps in building your organization and your brand. Number one is the programming within artificial intelligence. If you're starting to learn, if you're trying to get into this area, Python or Java will be the way to go. Learning these skills will help you. Also mathematics and statistics. If you're starting to go into this area and you're an adult or you're an older person, it's not too late. You can go in there. If you have kids that you're training, teach them to go into mathematics, have strong, solid mathematics skills and statistics skills. So I asked somebody, I've been teaching AI awareness now since I started the program at the University of Oxford. And I was in a room with all PhDs, and a question that was raised was, at what age do you start teaching people about artificial intelligence? And somebody in the class said, probably from kindergarten. And that person was right, because it is going to be so much a part of our everyday lives. It's not too early to start teaching people. Now, what does it mean for the rest of humanity? It's still something that is up for discussion. What does it mean when you teach people or children artificial intelligence from such an early stage, from such an early age? Well, if you do teach them that from such an early age, they're this is not going away. This is not going anywhere. This is going to be a part of a fabric of our lives. So in building your brand, knowing about these key components, knowing about these stepping stones, or this pyramid, as I call it, is going to help you with machine learning, knowing about machine learning, what it means, neural networks, AI models, data analytics, collecting, analyzing, cleaning your data, making sure that you have pure data, purity of data, making sure you have the right infrastructure. All those go towards building your brand. It's a whole bit talked about, is crucial for you in developing your brand, in creating problem solving or designs within your organization. Maybe utilizing what I call, for me, it has helped me a lot, and that is in building relationships within my internal arenas, and also stepping outside of your current arenas in building relationships that now form the fabrics of your organization and your brand. So this will help you. And I don't know if I'm answering the question or if I'm going too broad in answering this question for the person who asked it. So I'm going to keep going forward, and then maybe we can be more specific tomorrow when we come back. When you're looking about suitability of AI within your new initiative as you're building your brand, there is the need to make sure that the staff that you hire or the staff that you contract to work for you, that they know about data. Without enough data, without the clean data, without managed data, you really can't deploy artificial intelligence. So you've got to start looking at data in a different way. Data is going to be what's going to make you more efficient. It's going to be what's going to make your brand stronger. It's going to make your brand last. So if you change your relationship with data, what does that mean? Data analytics, data science. If you don't have these already, then it's a time to start incorporating them in your regular discussions during your board meetings. The infrastructure is key. You've got to have the right infrastructure. You've got to have stable internet. You've got to have electricity. You've got to have roads that will lead people from point A to point B. You definitely have to have expertise within your organization. The skilled labor is crucial. So currently I'm working with a data analyst in creating these AI awareness sessions. And if you link up with me on LinkedIn, I'll be able to let you know when we have future sessions. I think that's the juicy extra that Blessing had talked about at the beginning, that I do run these AI awareness sessions. They're not free, but they are highly say the fees so that more people can attend. So that's still in the works. And I was able to talk to a few people in Amsterdam who are Netherlands citizens and also American citizens who are willing to partner in this area. So that's still being discussed, and hopefully something will come out of it so that we can have more engagement, because the idea, like I said at the beginning, is to reach 100 million people. So how do we unlock the power of AI and your brand using this technology? So you've got to have powerful computing resources. Your hardware is key, and hardware can get very expensive, very, very expensive, could run in the millions of dollars. At this conference that we had, or the summit that we had in Netherlands, there were organizations that had created ways to enable organizations that can't afford these high cost hardware to pool their resources together and make it less expensive, but it's still going to be expensive to do that. But that is actually an area that is an opportunity right now and could make you money if you go into this area and you figure out ways to make hardware accessible, less expensive. Figure out these solutions, think about it. And this is some way that maybe you could develop a unicorn organization and also build the communities around you. Learning about machine learning, knowing about neural networks, the formation of this is much like a human brain. It's structured how the human brain works. And there is a black box, which means that there are certain solutions that are offered by or through artificial intelligence that even those who designed them don't know how they came about those solutions. They're black boxes, they're open areas, and they're still developing. And so it is great that we are having this discussion today, because it's an area that we can get into as not just as a nation, as a continent, because I see that there are several countries here represented, and I'm so happy and I'm so thrilled to be here today talking about this with you. Because if we can come together as a continent and build through our human and natural resources, oh my goodness, the sky is the limit. There is no limit to what we're going to be able to achieve. So I still want to go back to AI readiness. How are you getting ready within your career? As a young person, where do you want to go within this world? And I don't want to call it a new world. It is not a new world. It's been there for a long time. Where do you want to go? Where do you want to place yourself? How do you want to make a difference? And where do you start? These are questions that you have to ask yourself as a young person trying to find a job, or better still, create jobs. How you can become an employer of labor. That is the ultimate goal. For you to be an entrepreneur, I've been to Nigeria a few times since I had, and within Africa as a continent, we have that drive, we have that passion, we have something of Africa that we can leverage here within the continent. I stayed because I eat for an education, and I happened to meet my life partner. And so that changed the trajectory of my life. But I am a big advocate for building our nations with skills within this continent, and also getting those that have left, that are still out, to come back and build this continent. And there's so much that we can do. Everything happens for a reason. I went out and things change in my life for a reason. And now I'm back. I'm back. And I'm trying to do more for our communities. I'm trying to do more for our young people who are going to be our future leaders in building the foundations from an early stage. We need to be able to develop from an early stage, from the children in the schools, in the kindergarten, like my colleague on the other place, and the other platform said, building the skills from kindergarten level to primary school level, teaching them the basics of this technology. For the interest of time, I'm going to stop here, but tomorrow I'm going to take an even deeper dive into artificial intelligence and how you can further build your brand, build your skills, build the communities around you, and better still, how you can make a career out of this technology, artificial intelligence. I'm very excited to be here today. I'm even more excited looking forward to tomorrow. And I want to say big kudos and big thanks to those that have been part of this panel, those that created this forum, this drive. This is going to be a movement, and I'm looking forward to continuously being a part of it and giving back. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Letitia. Wow, that's so amazing. Thank you. Thank you. Wow. You've given us, you know how someone eats and is oversatisfied, right? So much value, so much value. Thank you so much. I am sure that the audience can testify that they got so much value. And we are even more excited that we'll be having you tomorrow again. And AI is here to stay, like you said, and it can be applied across several businesses, across our careers, and we cannot but look into it and begin to position ourselves to leverage the opportunities that comes with it. So thank you so much, and thank you so much to our amazing audiences. Thank you so much to all our facilitators. Thank you so much. Let me I can't say their names enough, but I want to start by saying thank you to the organizers once again for putting this amazing project together. Thank you so much, Fatima in Acceptial. I guess she's no longer here. Amanda, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Anna. Thank you so much, Janet, for moderating the session. And I mean, to Tribe Africa, to all the volunteers, you made this happen, and we know that tomorrow will even be a much more exciting session. For me, before I sign out, I hope that our participants can put on their video so that we can do like a snapshot, a group snapshot. I hope the team is available, logged in. So yeah, I'm excited. I can see faces. Yeah, it was looking like I'm the only one on camera. Yeah, so put on your camera so that we can just take a quick snapshot and Who will take the picture for us? Christopher, are you the one taking the picture, or Adeze, you are the one taking the picture? So you tell us if you've taken the picture. I love my signature sign like this, like peace. So you can come up with your own signature sign, and then who is the photographer, so that we'll do 1, 2, ready, go, and we'll take our shot. So all of you, you've been hiding behind the camera, just taking in the value. It's not fair, but it's okay. Oh, tomorrow there'll be no camera to hide behind. We'll see your faces live and direct. Okay, so who is taking the picture? I had to log in with my phone. I'm taking the picture from my phone will not be perfect. So I need to confirm. Christopher, are you on the call, please? Or Vincent, Dr. Vincent, are you on the call?
Taking the pictures. I am. I sent the chat to you.
Okay, all right. So are we good to go? Should we do cheese? 1, 2, ready, go, cheese. If you're not smiling, we'll delete your picture. All right, thank you so much, everyone. It's been so amazing speaking with all of you, seeing your beautiful faces. And once again, to all our facilitators, thank you so much for this opportunity and for sharing value with us. And on this note, I'm going to sign off, and I'm sure that I think Mr. Hamilton is not on the call anymore. I think he's trying to attend to something very important, so that we can have tomorrow's session as smooth as possible. I know that Adeze is here. She's part of the volunteers coordinating orders. So Adeze, I don't know, do you have anything you want to say before I officially close up the meeting? Or Dr. Vincent, is there any information we need to pass before I close up the meeting? Okay, I will believe that the silence means no. Right. All right, someone is asking the venue. I think the venue is Women Development Center. I'm sure since you wrote, you put down your contact before signing in, I'm sure you'll be getting emails to that regard. So please, we look forward to seeing you at the event tomorrow, and it will be amazing connecting with you live. On this note, my name is Blessing Eje, and I'm so excited to have moderated this session together with other persons who facilitated today. Thank you so much, and it's time to say bye-bye. See you tomorrow. Bye for now.